So we're back, ladies and gentlemen, through the lunch break, and I'm joined in the commentary box by Annabelle Eaton, under-23 world champion coach from last year. Welcome, Annabelle.
Thank you.
I've spoken about Annabelle a lot, you know, and last year was the first time we actually got to meet each other in Varese.
We did, in Italy. That's right.
And then you went on to coach a crew that won a world championship, so congratulations on that. A race that had been dormant for a number of years that has come back, and now that crew are credited with the world's fastest time in that event.
Mm-hmm. Well, it was there for the taking, wasn't it? So we took it and we smashed it by about 18 seconds. So
Exactly.
Incredible job by the girls.
So how did you get into coaching?
Well, I started in the very strong schoolgirl system in Victoria. I started coaching probably a Year 9 fourth crew at St Catherine's School and worked my way up for the next 15 years, up to the first aid.
So something like 66 girls' schools at Roe in Victoria?
Ooh, you're good.
I think it's something like that.
Yeah, well, the Head of Schoolgirls is a massive event down there in Geelong that we had 2 weeks ago, and it's got thousands of competitors.
Yeah, Richard was telling me it was up over 400 races in 3 days.
Oh, it's crazy. They start on the Thursday.
Yeah, so it's a great event, that's for sure. So, experience in coaching. So what do you think are the attributes that makes a top-class coach, Annabelle?
Time, effort, lots of learning, lots of putting yourself in a position where you can learn more and more every day, surrounding yourself with good coaches and also good people that are going to support you with your coaching journey.
And dissecting the support you get. Some people give you information that's not necessarily helpful, and some people give you great information that's a keeper, isn't it?
Absolutely, and you've got to, through time, you develop the intuition to be able to decipher between the good stuff and the bad stuff, and ultimately, I've learned over lots and lots of years coaching that backing yourself is the number one point.
Have confidence in yourself.
Absolutely, back yourself.
Yeah, you've met my wife last year and met her again today, and she'll tell you that I often say rowing, like a lot of sports, is something that's simple, that's been made hard by experts.
Absolutely.
Yeah, no doubt about that. So you're coaching schoolboys and schoolgirls?
Well, no, my whole general career was coaching schoolgirls, and then I've done some club stuff and international stuff. Then I came back and coached schoolboys because I wanted to get back to the pure love of coaching. And so I did that the last 5 years with St Kevin's College and coached boys and loved it. Never coached them before, and I think I became a better coach for it.
So St Kevin's, of course, the famous Hubert Frederico, synonymous with St Kevin's.
Yes, and at Mercantile we have Dom Frederico and Emmy Frederico rowing there, and Emmy was in that crew.
In that crew, yeah. I remember seeing that in Varese last year.
Yeah.
So, young aspiring coaches, what should they be doing? Do you think they should be following a path like you, starting, let's say, at the bottom and working your way up? Because it's not easy to start at the top, is it?
Absolutely. Too hard to start at the top. You'll drown. I think gaining confidence over years and in your craft and developing, what you think you want the rowing stroke to look like and how you want to communicate and with people and get that message across that you're trying to get through, which is not just a technical message, but also, building into athletes, making them better people, which I'm a big one for.
Absolutely. It was one of Drew Ginn's things was about the people being better at the end, better athletes, but better human beings as well. I think it's incumbent upon a coach to leave the people in better shape than the way you found them.
Absolutely. I think that's what's kept me in the sport for so long, is that particularly in that school level, you go on a journey with these kids and they learn so much about themselves as athletes, as people, and you have kids come back to you and say how good it was when they were rowing, and that was one of the best experiences they had at school. So, yeah, I really cherish those points.
Actually, an old mate of mine used to be the manager of the Australian junior team, and he had a gruff exterior, but underneath it all, he had a heart of gold. And all of these athletes who were on teams with him, you'd see him 10, 15 years later, they'd come up and give him a cuddle and ask how he was going. And, he was such a grumble bum on the outside, but all of these kids remembered all the things that he'd done for them.
Yeah, and I think we're in a place now where, we can be tough. We've got to stretch them to learn more about themselves, but also support them in that same way as well, that we allow them to be the best they possibly can be.
Yeah. So the high performance space, you want to be in there still. So you're coaching the Windermere Cup crew?
Yeah, really excited to be coaching the Windermere Cup this year. So we go over to the University of Washington and race their women's crew, and we've got a men's crew that are going as well. So a really great opportunity for us to race the big boats against big boat specialists in the US, and for us, imagine those men and the women, or the women and the men, that we get a great experience out of it, and kind of take that a wedge of training for them to help them through the winter.
Of course, the Americans row 8 and ergos, don't they? So we're going over there. Selected through pairs, were the 8s? Or?
Yeah, so it all went through the trial process that we had a couple of weeks ago, about 3 weeks ago up in Penrith. And started with the pairs, and then, it just kind of happened through that.
Yeah. So it's been great talking to you, Annabelle. Good luck with the rest of this regatta, and the best of luck with the Windermere Cup experience. And thanks for joining us.
My pleasure.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Can we get a fun little floating head sort of intro thing? Can we do that?
It's time for Cole's Cook Up. Yes, it's time to make a dish.
Hey, my name's Sam. And I'm Jack Cleary, and today we're here on behalf of the Men's Australian Rowing Team to show you 2 quick and easy ways that you can prepare dinner on the fly and fuel your body. So Sammy, what are you cooking today?
Mine is absolute entry level. I'm making a quick beef stir fry with plenty of veggies, plenty of sauce. It's maximum taste, maximum nutrition. And what are you doing today?
I will be showing you guys how to cook a simple fried rice. Basic ingredients, we got bird's eye chilies, shallots, eggs, chicken. You can do this in bulk, you can do it on the fly, saves you really well. Hopefully you can pick up some inspiration from this, and let's get started. Aprons, let's go.
Aprons.
Supplied by Coles, we love you. Help your mates out. Hygiene, first order of business. Chicken prepared, next, let's get these veggies done. So we're gonna start with our bird's eye chilies. Sammy here, not the best for spice, so I'm going to endeavour right now to remove some of these seeds. I'm just preparing some shallots. You enjoying that, Sammy?
It makes a nice noise. I gotta say, it's pretty satisfying.
Oh yeah. So we've got cooled rice that we whipped up about 3 or 4 hours ago, and with the eggs, we're just gonna pour them into our cold rice and stir that in, putting them into the rice beforehand, coats it all, real nice flavour, real cool end result. We are going to start with our chilies, straight in, and our shallots. Not too long on this, just make sure we got the flavour there ready for the chicken.
It's going well, Gav.
We'll get our chicken seared off of here. Want to get colour on this, nice and quick. We've got our chili oil, just a scoop. Let's just add the chili oil to taste. Woo! You want to open those windows now? Everyone behind us has been smoked out by just a bit of chili oil. All right, you come back. We're going to go in with our carrots and back in with our shallots and bird's eyes, the very thing that hurt everyone before. In with our rice. Give this a stir around. A dash of soy sauce to taste. We go shallots in. I think my dish is good to cut off the heat. Sammy?
I reckon I might be just about ready to start, Gav.
Right, just about ready to start.
I might start off by softening up the frozen veggies so they hit the pan hot. Gonna try and sear these bad boys for a little bit. Nice high heat for a high sear. I reckon those are about good to come out. And we'll get onto the vegetables. These have already been pre-softened in the micro, so they don't actually need that much more. And get ready for the noodles. Just really soften them and break them apart. They don't really need to be cooked here.
What stir-fry sauce are we going with today?
I have opted for the sweet soy and garlic I reckon we're about good to finish her all off. So just chucking all the ingredients in together, giving it a bit of a stir up, as the name implies.
There we have it. Do you want to give it a taste test?
Yeah, I think we've got to give it a go. Exceedingly powerful. Oh, actually, hang on. Woo! We got some milk. We got some milk around here. Oh, that's a relief. Ooh. So I've had a fantastic time preparing these dishes. How did you? Thank you, man.
I had a blast. We get to hang out every day, but we don't usually get to cook side by side in the kitchen, so it's been really awesome.
Certainly has. And if you guys give the recipes a go at home, let us know how they go.
They should be able to find them somewhere online, so have a look. We'll give you the ingredients and go for your lives.
Welcome back to the Australian Rowing Championships here at Champion Lakes 2023 edition. Ben home with you in the commentary box, and I'm joined for the first time this regatta by Chris McCarthy. Good afternoon, Chris. You just flew in today. How are you feeling?
Good afternoon, Ben. Yeah, I'm feeling like it's about 3 hours later than it really is, but absolute pleasure to be here. It's like we've arrived at the best division of the week, it seems. Walking down the course, wondering why all these tents are flying over. It looks absolute milk pond out there.
Just wait until tomorrow morning. And I was going to say, Chris, I see you're on the last commentary stint today, so that's to 5 o'clock. Now, that's about 8 o'clock on the East Coast. Do you need Ray to give you a lift home? Because we don't want you driving home if you're too tired. Ray said he's happy to give you a lift home.
Well, my accommodation's parked in the car park here, so I think I need to drive myself, unfortunately. No, looking forward to it. Culminating the day, I believe, with the first of the Under-19 8 events at the end of the day, which is always a good spectacle to have a bit of a break from the small boat racing that we've seen throughout the week so far.
Yeah, well, we've seen some 8 boats on the training lake, so exciting to see how they go a little bit later. First race, though, off the lunch break. We've got Stuart John. We've got a commentary connection here right off the bat. He's in lane 5. This is the PR3 men's single scull. Repechage number 1. So the top 2 going through to the final, and then the rest, they go to the B final. So really a cutthroat race right off the bat here, and we've got a good field in this one, Chris. This should be a great race.
Yeah, a race that we've definitely got a vested interest in, and we can see Stuart John's double partner, Rebecca Jones, watching on from the banks down here in front of the finish tower, eagerly awaiting the last of these crews to get lined up. As I make comments about the wind, a few people just struggling there to get attached to the fingers.
And it is extremely tough down there. That's Parramattaris. Really quite windy conditions down the end there. Yeah, and as Lizzie told us yesterday, powerlifting background as well. So he's done really well to take up rowing, and he's just going to have to try and get himself straightened up. He's in lane 2, Sam Shaluv in 3, both of those from Community Rowing Club. Kevin Wall from Shellharbour City in 4, Stuart John from ANU in 5, Aaron Skinner from Nestles in 6, Christian Lane Krebs from Bundaberg in 7. So just while we're waiting for this one to start, we've got some under-17 women's doubles on the way as well, under-17 men's double sculls. Now, what's exciting about these, Chris, are semi-final time. So we're getting close to those first finals of the week. Sort of been a bit of a slow burn, but we are getting close to those events which are coming up tomorrow.
Yeah, and we've already had such great racing this morning in the semi-finals. It is often the day where we do see the most cutthroat matchups, as it is do or die for some of these events. A lot of these events not even having B finals, so the real fight to survive this afternoon in those under-17 semi-finals.
And we saw a margin of almost 10 seconds pulled back in the, I think it was the open women's coxless pair. Almost 10 seconds pulled back in the last 500 metres. So that's the kind of racing you get when you're getting to the point where if you don't make it through, then you're eliminated. No repechage, nothing. We're at semi-final time in the under-17 women's double scull. So that one's right after this one. But here, this is repechage 1 of the PR3 men's single scull. Just the one repechage in this one. Top 2 to the A final. The other 4 scullers will go through to the B final. You can see all the scullers really angled across into that wind, which is coming across the course. Might give you a bit of an update on that as well. It looks as though Parramattaris is good to go here. He's got himself back onto the finger and ready to go. So wind speed, the gusts were up around sort of 42, 45 kilometres an hour this morning. And now they're down to 24, wind speed around 20 k's an hour. So you've just rolled in, Chris, and
yeah, I've just rolled in and it's calmed down for me. And you guys have set me up well before the break. Round of applause on the walk in. It's fantastic.
Guard of honour as well.
Yeah.
Still a bit of a delay here. Well, there is the sky here at Champion Lakes. Very few clouds in it. You might see a little bit of dust just on the right edge of your screen. That's coming from a new development which is taking place. This area of Perth is sort of expanding. Suburbia here at Champion Lakes.
Not a
lovely spot.
Not a cloud in the sky, but it does look like as we approach the tail end of the week. Tomorrow and Friday, a shower or two. Supposedly a little bit more tomorrow for the first of our finals in the small boats in the morning, and then a little bit more on Friday. But clear skies and mostly sunny over the weekend for the last of our finals, and of course our Interstate Regatta on Sunday afternoon.
I know, I can't wait. 3 o'clock, I think my race is tomorrow, and I think that's about 80% chance of rain or something. So here we go. Oh, have we got a start? Have we not got a start? Parry Mataris just struggling here off the start, and we are underway in this PR3 men's single scull. So he's really having some difficulty getting off the start. Parry Mataris from Community Rowing Club. He's getting going now, though. So he's got a bit of a margin to pull back, and it looks as though
Kevin
Lane, Kevin Wall has really
Harbour City
got away to a good start.
Yeah, gotten the early look back on everyone else, and don't really know what happened. There was a few faltering athletes there on the start, so I don't know if there's a little bit of miscommunication or anything down there, but they are all underway and travelling safely now. Kevin Wall from Shellharbour out in the lead, and looks like possibly Aaron Skinner over in lane 6 that is trailing him behind, but Kevin Wall opening up a good handy lead in the first 20 strokes or so of the race. This one and only repechage of the PR3 men's single scull.
You just wonder the fact that he was holding up the race with his start, and that might have just thrown him off kilter a little bit. Parry Mataris, it took a while to get going.
Seen a couple scullers move across a couple lanes prior to the start as well, so just a few little difficulties there with the wind.
Yeah, it's certainly unnerving, isn't it? Wind at the best of times is unnerving, but especially when you're trying to row against it, and it's not really fully against it, it's the crosswind, which is prefer to row straight into a wind than you would have a strong crosswind, which is...
It does look a little bit straighter now from what it was. I mean, you can tell me I wasn't here this morning, but I did get off the plane and look at the results from this morning. I just saw lane 7, lane 7, lane 7, lane 7. So it looks like we're in for a little bit more even conditions across the course.
Well, the issue is, so this course runs sort of northeast to southwest. So with the easterly coming across, it's sort of into the side at a sort of an angle, sort of from, you can see that mountain just behind, basically coming down at a diagonal angle to the scullers. So it's sort of against and pushing. Well, you can see these boats here. See the under 17 women's double. See that angle they're being pushed. That's basically the way the wind is blowing, making it really difficult to get connected for the start. So, yeah. And that's why we've had a little bit of a delay to the start of racing after the lunch break. PR3 men's single scull, so they're closing in on the 500 metre mark, and we'll get you the latest split times as they come through. Top 2 going through to the A final, the rest going to the B final. They were just coming into view there at the 500. This is the 1,000 metre mark. As you can see by the dust just in the background, the wind's still
coming across the course there.
Yeah, making things difficult, but certainly better than it was a little bit earlier in the day. So just a reminder of this field: Parry Mataris in lane 2, Sam Shaloub in 3, both of those from Community Rowing Club, and Craig Liam, James, Barbara Ramjan, the coaches of those two scullers. On the near side, if you're watching on the live stream, Kevin Wall from Shellharbour Rowing Club in 4, ANU Stuart John, coached by Dern Grant and William Hatcher, and then in 6, Nestles Aaron Skinner, coached by David Skinner, Nestles in Victoria, and Bundaberg Rowing Club's Christian Lane Krebs, coached by Alan Goff, in lane 7. So as we've touched on throughout the morning, those lanes to the near side of the tents here on the far side of the live stream, they are the favoured lanes because they have the most protection. As you're touching on, Chris, watching on the live stream this morning, those are the lanes where we're seeing a lot of winners because that is favoured. Those boats have been going faster in the earlier races, and the fact that it is certainly advantageous. So here we go. We're getting the 1,000 metre time check, and Kevin Wall, who was really quick off the start, He's going through there at 4:42.25. Aaron Skinner in second, Christian Lane Krebs in third. So the all-important time there, Christian Lane Krebs 6 seconds. He's going to have to pull back.
No threat really to that top three, but there could definitely be some contention for that last spot in the in tomorrow morning's A final, coming from Christian Lane Krebs from Bundaberg, who's sitting just 6 seconds back. We saw this morning, I believe, Patrick Burke from UTS coming back from 6 seconds back to just overhaul in the under
race
23 men's single semi-final. Some great commentary there this morning as well. It was just as I got off the plane.
I was actually thinking you might have been in the air then. You just got off. That was
just in my Uber. Yeah.
In the morning session, in terms of a close finish or one of the best performances, that was probably right up there. We saw it was the open women's pair, 10 seconds got pulled back, but they needed 11. They couldn't quite get there. But Patrick Burke, that's a
gutsy row after a good 6 minutes in these conditions to turn it around and go, yep, no, that's mine. Thank you very much. I'll be going through to the A final. Is a big mental challenge to overcome, and a big physical one too in these conditions. So hats off to him, and I'll be looking forward to seeing what we can. The performance we can see from Christian Lane Krebs from Bundaberg in lane 7. So he's in that protected lane. He's got all the cards have been dealt for him, and ready to mount that attack in the closing 750 metres of the race, as we see the crews just approaching the 1500 metre timing point in the camera there.
I was asking Stuart as well, when touching on this before, Chris, that fact that in the last 500 the water is definitely flatter than earlier in the course, and if you can just stick within striking distance in that first 1500 where it is a bit windier, then the last 500 you can strike if you can get your speed up on the flatter water.
And not the battle for the qualifying spot that we were predicting, but it does look like that might be exactly what Aaron Skinner and Kevin Wall are coming across in as they
have switched positions, haven't they?
Switched positions, yeah, there we go. So in the championship 500 metres, Aaron Skinner moving forward up into the lead over Kevin Wall, and with conditions as they are, if they do deteriorate anymore, we could possibly see a redrawing of lanes, and that as we did last year, and they will be fighting for that most advantageous lane.
So Stuart, John, just coming through that 1500 metre timing point. We can give you some times for the semi-final one of the under-17 women's double scull, 500 metres down in that race. So lane 2, Radford College, 3, Unley High, 4, Sydney, 5, Trinity Lutheran, 6, Brisbane and GPS, and 7, Commercial Rowing Club. So through the first 500, it was Lilla Meredith and Sienna Becker from Commercial in 7 leading, from Eva Hosking and Astrid Thomas from Brisbane and GPS. It was 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1 in terms of lanes, first to 6th. So if that doesn't show you that the seeding, how the seeding works, that's how it rolls. The fastest crew through in 1 in lane 7, and that's Commercial leading the way so far. So final 300 of this one. And this battle that's been going on throughout, Skinner versus Wall, it continues on, but they shouldn't be too concerned because they should be both comfortably through. There is a bit of a push coming here from Christian Lane Krebs on the far side of your screen.
Probably won't be enough in the closing stages, but these two athletes in the lead, Aaron Skinner followed by Kevin Wall. Aaron Skinner, he knows what that advantageous lane feels like now, and he wants to make sure he's got himself the best lane possible for tomorrow's A final. So putting in the work in the second half of the race to move forward into the top qualifying position in this one and only repechage of the PR3 men's single scull. Aaron Skinner crosses the line there in first place, and we followed about 2 boat lengths clear of the second place sculler, Kevin Wall from Shell Harbour City. Christian Lane Krebs of Bundaberg coached there by Alan Goff, will cross the line in third, just outside those qualifying spots. He'll finish a couple lengths clear of our co-commentator, Stuart John from the Australian National University Boat Club in the centre of the course there. He strides across the line, making his final 3 strokes now.
And Sam Shaloub and Parry Mataris. Well, good on Parry Mataris because he had an awful start and now he's got himself up into 5th place. So he's overtaken Sam Shaloub, and those two are going to bring home this PR3 men's single scull. So Aaron Skinner and Kevin Wall through to the final in that one. Now this semi-final number 1 of the under-17 women's double, Meredith and Becker leading from Hosking and Thomas. So in this one, top 3 to the final, and then 4th to 6th are eliminated. So no B final in this event. And here they come up the course. So they're nearing the last 500 metres, and that gap we've been looking at, Chris, is that gap between 3rd and 4th, which was only at about 1.5 seconds at the 1K. There's a big gap between 1st and 2nd and 3rd and 4th, but it's only 1.2 the difference between Fruin and Clifford from Trinity Lutheran and Sydney Rowing Club Stevenson and De Villiers.
And as I walked through the gates, I did hear Richard Dorstein commenting that he's getting a bit bored of commentating a bunch of Sydney Rowing Club wins. So I guess I'm here to continue that. And as we egg these girls on in the last couple hundred metres, so good battle there unfolding for that 3rd and final qualifying position. The first of 2 semi-finals in the under-17 women's double scull. Meredith and Becker of Commercial have led start to finish at this stage, although coming under threat from the Brisbane GPS crew to the right-hand side of them in the closing 500 metres. That's Hosking and Thomas. Those 2 crews sit clear by about 14 seconds of the 3rd and 4th place crews. So Trinity Lutherans, Fruin and Clifford have sat in 3rd for the most part of the race. It does look like Stevenson and De Villiers of Sydney Rowing Clubs making a bit of a move and putting some pressure on for that last qualifying spot, but some might come right down to the line, as Ben might have a little bit better view of that than I do at the moment.
Well, Chris, we just saw Commercial in lane 7. They just went a bit off course, and that's allowed Brisbane and GPS just to take the advantage in the battle for 1st and 2nd. But I can tell you, the race for 3rd and 4th, this is going to be an absolute cracker. Trinity Lutheran and Sydney Rowing Club going right down to the wire. Unley High look like they could be out of it at this point. They're back in 5th. So 1st and 2nd here, it is going to be Brisbane and GPS who are going to secure potentially that 1st spot and the most beneficial lane in the final. Commercial have just been overtaken in the last 500 metres, and I tell you what, fantastic finish from Trinity Lutheran. They have blown away the Sydney crew, who were they were neck and neck with heading into the last 300 metres, and it will be Trinity Lutheran who will go through in 3rd place, Sydney Rowing Club in 4th, Unley High in 5th, and Radford College in 6th place.
Some true semi-finals racing here to kick off the afternoon session. Real hard-fought battle there, and the combination there from Trinity Lutheran just coming on top for that last last A-final qualification spot for tomorrow morning. The crews from Sydney Rowing Club and Unley High both eliminated from the event.
Did you jinx Sydney Rowing Club there, Chris?
Maybe I'm a curse. I've walked in here and that's what's happened.
Under 17 women's double scull is coming down semi-final number 2. Commercial in lane 2. Yarsky and Ricks. Gippsland Grammar in 3. Tavaski and Garand. Kinross Wallaroy in 4, Staniforth and Wong. Fremantle in 5, Kelly and Hanson Knahoy. 6, Griffiths and Robertson from Canberra Grammar. 7, Bunbury and Fremantle. Metzger and Cross. So
Once again, looks like we're going to have a good little battle for the for that third qualifying spot. So at the 500 metre mark, so it was at the 500, it was Canberra Grammar, Griffiths and Robertson who were leading. About 1.5 seconds ahead of Metzger and Cross from Bunbury and Fremantle. And Staniforth and Tessa Wong from Kinross sitting in third place, but only narrowly ahead of the local crew from Fremantle, Juliet Kelly and Charlotte Hansen-Nahoy. 0.41 of a second the margin there at the first 500 metre mark, and definitely not clear of the Gippsland Grammar crew, Ella Durand and Scarlett Tavaski, who were just under 2 seconds back. They led the crew from Commercial on the far side of the course, Poppy Yarsky and Rose Ricks, who were sitting back in sixth place, but not a whole lot separating those top four crews, or top five crews rather. So we could be in for quite a good little battle here as this race moves down the course, and you see them crossing through the 1,000 metre mark now, where the margins have just opened up a fraction.
Yeah, and it looks substantial, doesn't it? Remembering the top three to the final. And this is fourth and fifth, so it's 9 seconds. All right, well, we've seen 10 seconds get pulled back this morning. 9 seconds with 1,500 metres left. Can Gippsland Grammar pull off something special here in the under-17 women's double scull semi-final number 2? So remembering those top two crews in this race, the Bunbury Fremantle Composite and the Canberra Grammar crew, they both won their heats, so that's why they're in lane 6 and 7, and they're making good on that performance here in the semi-final.
A good little effort from Gippsland Grammar, Ella Durand and Scarlett Tavaski, who have moved up ahead of the crew from Kinross, who did qualify ahead of them in the heats and lead that crew by about 1.5 seconds, but good gap back to those top three. But as you said, we have seen bigger margins clawed back.
So you can see across the course, lane 6, 7 and 5 in the top three positions. Gippsland Grammar, who are in lane 3, they were in a good position a little earlier, but they have slipped back and they're sitting outside in 4th spot. But coming into view here is the Bunbury Composite crew. I was sitting 2nd earlier in the race. They've moved up into 1st. Metzger and Cross from Bunbury, Metzger from Fremantle Rowing Club, and they have about 100 metres to travel. Good finish this from the middle of the course. Fremantle's Kelly and Hansen-Nahoy. They are keen on a good lane in the final. But it looks as though they're not going to quite pull in. The Bunbury Fremantle Composite crew leading the way. And Metzger and Cross are the first through to the final in semi-final number 2. Kelly and Hansen-Nahoy join them, as do Griffiths and Robertson from Canberra Grammar. So it was sort of a bit of a race in 2 there. And we're going to see Gippsland Grammar. They are going to cross in 4th. It's not really going to matter, these final 3 crews, because they are eliminated now from the under-17 women's double scull. No B final in this event, and Commercial Rowing Club to bring us home.
Confirming the results there for that second semi-final of the under-17 women's double scull. In first place was the Bunbury and Fremantle Composite crew of Metzger and Cross. Second place was Canberra Grammar, Griffiths and Robertson. In third place was the all Fremantle crew, Juliet Kelly, Charlotte Hansen-Nahoy. Those 3 crews going through to the A final tomorrow. Gippsland Grammar, Kinross Wallaroy and Commercial Rowing Clubs were 4th, 5th and 6th. Those 3 crews eliminated from the event. As we turn our attention back down to the course, to much to the dismay of Richard Dorstein, the first of 3 semi-finals, 3 semis. You wouldn't read about it in the under-17 men's double scull. That first semi-final consisting of crew in lane 2 from Rockhampton, Fitzroy, Thompson and Vesey. Crew in lane 3 from Poultney Grammar, Williams and Parish. Lane 4 from Prince Alfred College, Dawson and Garnet. Lane 5 from Trinity Grammar, McKinney and Beamish. Lane 6 from Newcastle Grammar, Burton and Brown. And in Lane 7 from the Southport School, Coleman and Onito. So a pretty well-rounded field from all across the country. Just missing a Western Australian, I think. We'd have...
Oh, look at this. 8 crews in this under-17 men's semi-final. Yeah, we
might
definitely...
have a few extras there on the on the timing buttons there at the 1,000-metre, or the 1,500-metre mark rather.
We have some rogue graphics / timing going on. So we'll try our best. But that is the 1,500-metre point. And what I can tell you is that as they come into view, the top 2 through to the final. And right now it looks as though on this near side of the boat park, far side on the live stream, the Southport Schools, Coleman and Oneto, they are leading from Prince Alfred College, Dawson and Garnett, who are in the middle of the course. So the other 4 crews that are behind are going to have to try and pull back a miracle. Newcastle Grammar back in lane 6. You can also see Trinity Grammar in 5, remembering that Newcastle Grammar and the Southport School, 6 and 7, they both won their heats. So this margin is getting more and more difficult for those 2 crews to pull back here as the Southport School extending out in front. There's a push out wide from Rockhampton Fitzroy. They are really going for it out in lane 2, but it is the Southport School in front of Prince Alfred College with 100 metres to travel. It's going to be pretty comfortable in the end for this top 2 in this under-17 men's double scull semi-final. The Southport School, Coleman and Oneto, they are through to the final. And Lewis Dawson and Max Garnett are going to join them there. Rockhampton Fitzroy and Newcastle Grammar, they are fighting it out for 3rd. It's going to be tight, but it will be Rockhampton Fitzroy 3rd, Newcastle Grammar in 4th. And then Prince Alfred College, well, they're already through. Trinity Grammar come through, followed by Pulteney Grammar School. But the Southport School and Prince Alfred College, they are through in the top 2.
Great.
Don't have a look at the
don't look at the graphics. Just listen to the wise voices that's presenting the results. But a good example there of how just sticking with the competition in that bit choppier first 1,500-metre mark, and then just making the move towards the end really makes for some exciting racing here. So confirmation results in that first semi-final, the under-17 men's double scull. First place through to the A final will be the Southport School. Second place, Prince Alfred College. Those 2 crews through to the final. Eliminated from the event will be Rockhampton Fitzroy in 3rd place, Newcastle Grammar in 4th, Trinity Grammar in 5th, and Pulteney Grammar in 6th place. And on the course now, and approaching the first 500-metre mark, I believe, will be the second semi-final of the under-17 men's double scull in lane 2 from Mercantile. What I assume is an all-family affair. Henry and Rory Somerville, coached by Peter Somerville. In lane 3 from Gibson Grammar, Lagan Joshi and Samuel Reynolds. In lane 4, Composite, Bundaberg and Ignatius Park College. Thomas Bardells from Ignatius Park and Logan Cavell of Bundaberg. In lane 5 from Adelaide High and Unley High, we have Thomas Osborne from Unley and Finn Redmond of Adelaide High. In lane 6 from Bunbury, we have Eckhart Bosman and Alexander Clements. And in lane 7 from Hunter Valley Grammar, Vaughan Henderson and Luke Purdy, coached there by Odin McIntosh and Rowan Hislop.
Okay, so Henderson and Purdy did really well at the New South Wales State Championships, and they are one of the fastest crews through to this semi-final. Number 2, Bosman and Clements from Bunbury, the other crew through, came first in the heat. And those 2 crews looking in a good position here to go through to the final.
Looking really tidy as well out there out of the front. Definitely going beyond their years. You'd be hard pressed to believe it's an under-17s crew. Looking really composed in those choppy conditions and leading the field as we come across the 1,000-metre mark by about 3/4 of a boat length from the crew to their right-hand side from Bunbury. And then in 3rd place will be the Bundaberg Ignatius Park Composite. sitting just outside that qualifying spot for the A final. Gippsland Grammar in 4th at 1,000 metre mark. Mercantile sitting in 5th place. The top 2 crews qualifying through to the A final, and definitely not an insurmountable margin there from Bunbury back to the Bundaberg Ignatius Park Composite in the centre of the course, just a hair over a boat length at that halfway timing point. So definitely potential for a great race to unfold between these under-17 scullers here this afternoon.
Yeah, 3.8 seconds can be pulled back, 1,000 metre mark, but this is the massive 500, isn't it, in these windy conditions? Who's going to crack? Who's going to extend the lead? We're going to find out very, very soon. But Henderson and Purdy have been comfortable in their singles, under-17 singles going through so far as well. So you put them both in the double, and they're absolutely flying at the moment from Bunbury's Bosman and Clements. Bundaberg Composite, that Ignatius Park College. So they were behind 3.8, and then Joshy and Reynolds, that was about 4.8 seconds, Gippsland Grammar in 4th. So you feel like at this point, it's that Bundaberg Ignatius Park crew the best chance of forcing their way into the top 3, but those those 4th and 5th crews, still an opportunity for them. They're not so far out of it. They're within 10 seconds.
Within 10 seconds.
Magic number today.
And let's not forget, in a double scull, 4.5 seconds is less than 2 boat lengths. So definitely not insurmountable and actually quite achievable over the course of half a race. And as we say that, I believe the lead has just been overturned. So Vaughan Henderson and Luke Purdy of Hunter Valley Grammar just been done in the championship quarter by Bunbury, moving up into the lead, but still a margin of almost 4 seconds back to the Adelaide High and Unley High Composite in 3rd. Gippsland Grammar back in 4th, and Mercantile back in 5th place at that 1,500 metre timing point. So a few changes in placings in the championship quarter, as all 5 crews now come storming towards the finish line here, battling it out for their A final positions come Friday morning.
Well, don't write off this Adelaide High, Unley High School Composite, because they were out of it at the 1K. They've brought it back to 3.9 seconds, the difference with 500 to go. The question is, are they able to pull back that kind of margin on these 2 crews who are absolutely flying out in front? And maybe they spent their bickies in that 3rd 500, because Hunter Valley Grammar and Bunbury now look to be extending their advantage over the rest of the field. Remembering that Hunter Valley Grammar, they were overtaken by Bunbury going into the last 500 metres, but maybe Hunter Valley Grammar have taken back the lead, and now they're trying to ensure that they go through to that final in the best possible lane, because they win here and they will be in either lane 7 or 6 in that final, and they are back in front of Bunbury. You can see further back the Adelaide High Composite, the Bundaberg Composite, Gippsland Grammar as well, further back in the field. But it's Hunter Valley Grammar, it is Henderson and Purdy, 2 outstanding scullers. They are going to be through to the under-17 men's double scull final, and they'll be in one of the best lanes in that race. Bundaberg through in 2nd, Bosman and Clements. And in the rest of the course, there's a strong finish here from Gippsland Grammar. And we're also seeing the Bundaberg Composite crew coming across. Mercantile as well further back. But it is Bunbury and Hunter Valley Grammar who go through. We're just trying to confirm here that we may have a scratching in this race. I think we haven't seen the Adelaide High Composite crew in the middle lane. So it was Bundaberg Composite that were pushing up there in the last 500. Adelaide High Composite crew seems not in this race.
May have been reporting on a few changes in positions, which may have just been a few different perceptions on who was in the race at the different timing points. But interesting to note, it's disappeared from our screen now, but only about a second difference between those 2 winning crews in the first and second semi-finals, and over quite a long race in not great conditions to pull out a really similar time definitely indicative of some great racing to come on Friday morning. So those crews, a crew from Southport School, Matthew Coleman and John Annetto, and then up against Vaughan Henderson and Luke Purdy of Hunter Valley Grammar. We would imagine in lanes next to each other come Friday morning in the A final of this event. Would likely be the second race of the morning on Friday, if without checking. I think that would be right.
Yep, well, those are going to be fantastic races to watch, the under-17 men's double. So this is semi-final number 3. I know it's a bit bizarre saying semi-final number 3, but that's what we have here.
Dawson just had to go for a walk.
he just slammed the door on the way out. So top 2 going through to the final. So it's a final of 6. So the cream is going to rise to the top in this event. Only 6 through to the final. And we're just getting some times through here. Oh, it looks like almost a comfortable advantage after 500 metres. Radford College 148.19 in first. Tasmania University in second, half a second back. And then Kinross Wallaroi in third, 6 seconds further back. But we know Kinross Wallaroi, they do finish strong. 6 seconds after 500. Can you read too much into that, Chris?
Oh, I don't think so, given those conditions down in the first 1,000 metres of this course. They breed him tough out in orange, and those boys, Oscar Cleary and Oliver Smith, would be keen to make a good showing of things in the middle of the race.
Well, actually, here we go.
They have.
We're getting a bit of a delay with the time, and we're getting it right in front of us now. So in front, Tasmania University, Haas and Manning, they are going to go through in first here, and Radford College, Gaydon and White here. So the top 2 here in the semi-final 3 of the under-17 men's double scull. And as we just touched on, 500 metres in, it was a big gap. At the 2K, it's a big gap. Tasmania University, Haas and Manning, they are through to the final. Gaydon and White here, they are also through from Radford College.
And really, before it comes up on the screen, I believe really similar times once again across all 3 of those semi-finals. So under-17 men's double scull will definitely be one to watch come Friday morning. Get out here bright and early and keep your eyes peeled on that one.
Yeah, apologies about the timing. It's just having a little bit of an afternoon nap. It is getting towards siesta time of the day, isn't it? So
Yeah, we're just a couple minutes late, so by the time we've called the 500 metre mark, the race is in front of us, which makes for exciting commentary for us. But for those of you sitting at the 1500 metre mark, you might be having a good laugh at our expense.
So just confirmation there, Chris, that Noah Haas and Henry Manning through Gaydon and White here to that semi-final. Looking forward to that.
Definitely looking forward to that. So Noah Haas really, obviously no relation to the Haas F1 team, because doing a little bit better than they have at the first 2 rounds of this season.
Well, Noah Haas, they don't actually have a coach named down here. I'm sure they do have a coach, as long as it's not Gunter Steiner, because if he was your coach...
I wouldn't let him near any...
Don't let him near any rowing boats.
No, that would be some language that would scare a pirate, I believe. But as we turn our attention back down onto the course, we've got race 263 in progress, the first semi-final of the under-19 women's double sculls. And as those crews approach the 1,000 metre mark, I believe, as they approach the 1,000 metre mark, so at the 500 metre mark, it was Griffith University Surfers Paradise Composite with Lucy McFarlane and Remy Neville, who were leading the field by just under 4 seconds from the Sydney Rowing Club crew of Lauren Moran and Neve Tierney. Themselves, in turn, 1.5 seconds up on Emma Searle and Paris Reed of Commercial. Trinity Lutheran sitting in 4th, Albert Park College in 5th, and Pymble Ladies College in 6th place. So top 2 progressing to the final in these events.
And that 6 second gap between Sydney Canberra Composite, Lang and Searle, back to Yarra Yarra's Kafuri and Miller, and then Carey and Vickers from Loretto Kirribilli out in front in this one. That's actually semi-final number 2. I'm just giving you a bit of an indication of the 500 metre points of that one. So
Bit of a sneak peek.
that one is on the course right now. Semi-final number 1, we're getting through, I think we are getting through the times now. Yes, they're coming through. Griffith Uni Surfers Paradise were leading at the 500, but they're a lot further up than the 500. So we're going to have to do this one the old-fashioned way in the last 500 metres. So it looks pretty tight, and those crews to keep an eye out for: Griffith Uni Surfers Paradise, they're in first. Commercial Rowing Club in second. In third, Sydney Rowing Club, and then in fourth, Albert Park College. So the big question is, can your club here, Chris, Sydney, can they try and produce something special in the last 500 metres to get themselves a spot in this final? That is Lauren Moran and Neve Tierney.
It does look like that crew from Commercial on the near side of the course in lane 6. That's the combination of Emma Searle, Paris Reed. They do have the momentum. They've moved through in the middle 1,000 of the race. Or Sydney at the 500 metre mark.
They're coming. They're coming though, Sydney.
It'll be a good finish here as they enter the red buoys there of the last 250 metres here at Champion Lakes. Griffith University Surfers Paradise composite with Centenary Rowing Club. Lucy McFarlane from Centenary and Remy Neville of Griffith University Surfers Paradise have led start to finish, and they will hold that roughly three boat length lead out at the head of the field in this first semi-final of the under-19 women's double scull. But the race is on for that final qualifying position between Sydney Rowing Club in lane 4, Lauren Moran and Neve Tierney, up against the commercial crew of Emma Searle, Paris Reed in lane 6. And it'll come right down to the line. Commercial have led all the way through the race, and Sydney Rowing Club putting on a late charge here to qualify their boat for the A final on Friday morning. These girls have had a few runs down the course already this week, and they're putting everything into it. Commercial Rowing Club with the advantage going into the last 5 strokes of the race. Commercial Rowing Club will come home with about a boat length's lead and qualify their boat in that second place to the A final on Friday. Sydney Rowing Club in third, just out of the qualification spots. The crew in lane 5 from Albert Park College, who crossed the line in 4th place, ahead of Pymble Ladies, Lucy Miller and Sky Pockley on the far side of the course there, coached by the mighty Ben Booker, just outside of those qualifying positions as well, finishing just ahead of Trinity Lutheran's Ruby Hodges and Scarlett Wood.
Well, that was a fantastic effort in the back end of that race. Lauren Moran, Neve Tierney from Sydney Rowing Club, they put everything into it, and they were behind by a decent margin going into that last 500. But Searle and Reed were able to hold them off from Commercial, and they joined McFarlane and Neville, Griffith Uni Surfers Paradise Centenary composite crew, in that under-19 women's double scull final. So we're getting through this semi-final number 2, and we're not getting splits through from the 1500 metre mark. Hopefully we may be able to bring them to you, because they have crossed that 1500 metre timing point. And here come the crews. So Corio Bay, here we go. We are getting the timing splits. So Loretto Kirribilli in first, Yarra Yarra second, and then Commercial Rowing Club in 3rd place. Commercial Rowing Club have 6 seconds to pull back here on the rest of those top 2 to go through.
They do have that slightly quieter lane in lane 7 to help them up there in their run to the finish, but Loretto Kirribilli doing good work of it out the front. Alyssa Fickers and Elizabeth Carey, coached by Lachlan Allen and Larissa Bison-Thal, who have led pretty much from the start of this race and have a pretty commanding lead over the field. They'll lead from the Yarra Yarra crew of Zara Kafuri and Sophia Miller, both of whom have seen perform pretty well in the under-17 single so far this week.
Can they use that flatter water to their advantage, this crew in lane 7? Commercial Rowing Club, Bethany Harvest and Milena Wilcox, they are in 3rd place at the moment. It's looking like it's going to be a really tough effort if they are to pull it back, and they look to be just going slightly towards the lane, and the boys there, the edge of the lane, they're pulling it back, and that is going to allow Yarra Yarra just to increase this advantage. Kafuri and Miller, they're in 2nd. Loretto, Kirribilli, Vickers and Carey, they're out in front in 1st. So it's Fickers and Carey in first. Kafuri and Miller from Yarra Yarra in second place. Then it's Commercial, one of the fastest crews through, or one of the top crews through from the heats to get lane 7, but it hasn't gone their way in this semi-final so far. They're putting in a tough fight right till the end, but that margin that is opening up for Loreto Kirribilli, who are out in front in first place. Alyssa Fickers and Elizabeth Carey, they are just a few strokes away from confirming their place in the final, and they are through. Loreto Kirribilli to the final of the under-19 women's double scull, and they're going to be joined by Yarra Yarra and Commercial Rowing Club, just edged out by a few seconds in the end, and they will be eliminated along with the Sydney-Canberra composite crew, Lang and Searle, and then Canberra Girls Grammar, Burns and Natty, and Corio Bays, Guest and Murphy will also be eliminated.
Just confirming the results there. The second semi-final, the under-19 women's double sculls. First place and through to Friday's A final. Loreto Kirribilli, represented by Alyssa Fickers and Elizabeth Carey. Yarra Yarra's Zara Kafuri and Sophia Miller will join them. And then third place and eliminated from the event will be Commercial Rowing Club. In fourth place, the Sydney-Canberra composite. Fifth place, Canberra Girls Grammar. And just crossing the line now on the far side of the course will be Corio Bay. So third through sixth eliminated from the event, but those top two crews progressing as our third and final semi-final for the under-19 women's double scull is well underway and coming through or approaching the 1,500 metre mark now. Do have timing back through the 1,000 metre mark. So it was St Patrick's College of Townsville in lane 7. Lily Bragg and Sarah Burke, who were leading the Centenary University of Queensland combination of Eliza Bridgefoot and Sophie Malcolm, sitting in second, who had a handy lead over the combination from Mersey in third place. Radford College sitting back in fourth. Loreto Marriotteville in fifth, and Hunter Valley Grammar in sixth place at that 1,000 metre timing point, as we can see on the live stream or on the big screen, depending on whereabouts you are joining us from. Those crews approaching the 1,000 metre mark with positions relatively unchanged in the championship quarter. St Pats of Townsville leading by almost a boat length there, or just over a boat length clear of Eliza Bridgefoot and Sophie Malcolm. Those two crews with a little bit of a distance then back to the third place crews. So I don't know if we're going to be seeing a particularly tight battle for our qualifying positions in this one. Mersey crossing that 1,500 metre timing point in third place. It's a combination of Olivia
19
Yates.
seconds. Can it be done?
I think it's doable.
19 seconds. Come on.
Yates and Meg Castles.
It is the third semi-final, so anything could happen. I was going to say, if you had 3 semi-finals, maybe maybe Hawthorn might make the finals, or West Tigers in the NRL. North Melbourne might win the premiership.
We've gone a whole 48 minutes without mentioning any other sports. Oh, we did have an F1 reference, but...
Or maybe Zimbabwe could make the World Test Championship cricket final or something like that.
Haas could win the F1
Haas could win the F1s. I love it. Here we go. So it is the top two through to the final in this one, and it's Centenary composite with the Uni of Queensland. Sophie Malcolm from Centenary, Bridgefoot with the Uni of Queensland, and they are in first place. St Pat's Townsville, they are sitting nicely in second. Question is, how desperate are they for that best lane, or the opportunity to have the best lane in the final? So, Centenary composite with the Uni of Queensland still in front. Here they come. Uni of Queensland, you can see Eliza Bridgefoot there in the stroke seat. Bow seat is Sophie Malcolm. Augustin Rodero and Benjamin Southall, their coaches, and they are going to hold on here to first place. St Pat's Townsville, they are happy with their spot in the final. Lily Bragg and Sarah Burke. So there are the top two. They are going through to the final. So Hunter Valley Grammar, Loreto, Marriotteville, Mersey and Radford College They are all going to miss out on a spot in the final, the top 6 making it through. And that rounds out the semi-final number 3 in the under-19 women's double. So here come the crews to round it out. Mercy come through in 3rd. We're going to see Loreto Marriotteville in 4th, Radford College in 5th, and Hunter Valley Grammar will finish in 6th place. So we've got a few races left before we're going to have a change in commentary. And we've got Lizzie Chapman's going to come in to join Richard Dorstein. But right now, this has come pretty quickly. The under-19 men's double scull, the semi-final number 1. So from the near side to the far side, looking on the live stream, Hunter Valley Grammar in 2, Trinity Grammar 3, Mossman 4, Norwood International in 5, Lake Macquarie Corio Bay Composite in 6, Hawthorn in 7. Out in front, it's Mossman just holding off the Lake Macquarie Composite. That's Routley and Rardon. And then Hawthorn in 3rd place. Hawthorn have got the work to do out in lane 7 in one of the better lanes. But Mossman from the middle of the course, they are absolutely motoring. So too is the Lake Macquarie Composite. They are not giving up their top 2 spot. Who is going to get the best lane here? The best opportunity for a good lane in the final. It is going to be Mossman just hanging on. Strong finish from Lake Macquarie Corio Bay. Hawthorn are going to come through in 3rd place in semi-final 1 of the under-19 men's double.
That Mossman combination, Oscar Schill-Gamborg and Dion Hansen, coached by Kieran Kabelke. I'm 99% sure that's a combination from the Northern Beaches Secondary College, which is a newly formed rowing program at public school that spans multiple campuses up there, and did pretty well at the Nationals last year in their first outing. So great to see them up here qualifying strong for the final of the under-19 men's double scull.
And it looks as though we may have had a scratching. Has that been confirmed here? No Hunter Valley Grammar crew in that race. The Tim Hawkins Memorial Trophy, the under-19 men's double scull. That was Harrison Nichols and Max Blatchley.
So on the course now, semi-final number 2, approaching the 1,000-metre mark. It'll be in lane 2, Huon Rowing Club, and that'll be Julian Winter and Patrick Robbie. Ballarat Grammar in lane 3, Charlie Savage and Jonty Fall. West Australian Rowing Club, it's Charlie Pike and Kieran Reading. In lane 4, Mossman Rowing Club, Zane McGregor and Sam Merry. In lane 5, Fremantle in lane 6, that's represented by Austin Vincent and Oscar Lowry. And Marist College from the ACT, Darcy James and Jesse Rosen in the favoured lane 7 nearest to the grandstand side of the course. And at the 1,000-metre mark, it was the combination from Fremantle in lane 6, the local boys Austin Vincent and Oscar Lowry, who had the ascendancy. Marist College in 2nd place, 1.7 seconds up on Mossman's Zane McGregor and Sam Merry. So the Mossman crew trying to do their best to match the performance of their club mates in the first semi-final, but sitting just outside of the qualifying spots at the present moment. Huon Rowing Club sitting back in 4th, Ballarat Grammar in 5th, and West Australian Rowing Club in 6th place. So provisionally at the 1,000-metre mark was Fremantle and Marist College from the ACT, who were provisionally our qualifiers through to Friday's A final, but only 1.7 seconds back to Mossman Rowing Club in the centre of the course. So challenges certainly emerging in the closing stages. Look like Mossman not quite letting that gap go just yet. So we see them approaching the 1,500 metre mark.
So 1,500 metres left to travel here in the semi-final number 2 of the under-19 men's double scull. So 1.77 was the difference. That has closed. Mossman have closed the gap by half a second to be there in third place behind Marist College and Fremantle, who have about a 4.5 second gap back to second. So Fremantle, Vincent and Lurie, they're sitting in a good position. They're in lane 6, but it's the challenge coming from Mossman. It was 1.77 seconds, the gap with 1,000 metres left. They closed it to 1.17, so they took 0.6 of a second off the Marist College ACT crew of Darcy James and Jesse Rosson. So Mossman, as we saw in the semi-final number 1 of this event, they put on an outstanding performance from the middle lane, so they didn't go through in one of the top places to get to this semi-final. They went about it the tough way, and now they are looking to close the gap. Can they do it further here? Marist College still in the prime position here to go through and make it into the final, race 428 in the under-19 men's double scull. Out in front though, Austin Vincent, Oscar Lurie, coached by Kevin Neville from Fremantle Rowing Club. They're in first place. There's about 150 metres to travel. Marist College in second, Mossman in third, fourth Hugh on there out of it with Ballarat Grammar and WA Rowing Club. Those bottom 3, they will all be eliminated. Mossman the only chance of making it through, but a cracking last 500 metres from Marist College, the ACT crew of Darcy James and Jesse Rosson. But out in front, Fremantle Rowing Club, they are first to punch their ticket through in semi-final 2 to the final in the under-19 men's double, joined by Marist College. Mossman put up a fight, but in the end they couldn't quite pull back the margin that Marist College opened up.
Through from Hewen on the far side of the course, crossing the line in 4th place. They'll be just ahead of Ballarat Grammar. And the West Australian Rowing Club's Charlie Pike and Kieran Redding to round out this second semi-final of the under-19 men's double sculls.
Semi-final 3 here in the under-19 men's double scull. The final semi of these under-19 men's doubles. And we are closing in on the 1,500 metre mark, so the time is telling us that there's a 6-second gap between second and third. So Nudgee, the Southport School composite, they're in lane 7. They are leading the way. That is Parathanasopoulos and Willett. And here is the 1,500 metre time check. So Parathanasopoulos and Willett in first, Nudgee in the Southport School, Gersoy and Maloney in second from Sydney. The gap back to third was 6 seconds. It's now 9 to Klotz and Free. 9 seconds with 500 metres left. We saw that kind of margin eaten up in the pair a little bit earlier, but this is going to take an effort from the Griffith Uni Surfers Paradise Bundaberg composite crew if they want to make it through to the final in the under-19 men's double. What I'm interested in though, Chris, is the fact that those times in the previous races, we saw 7:24.97 in semi 1, 7:28.62 in this one. So it's probably going to be pretty close to the last two semi-finals, and we can see
might even go a little bit quicker in this one, judging by the 1500 metre time.
Yeah,
I don't have access to their speed coach data, so I'll be quiet.
I think the only crew at this point from the naked eye that looks like they could challenge is the crew over on the far side of the course. And maybe we're just getting Costa Karathanasopoulos. That's Nikos Karathanasopoulos. He's over in lane 3 with Jed Galley. So they were moving up. You can also see that Griffith Uni Surfers Paradise Bundaberg composite crew, they are moving up, but this gap, it's too substantial. St Joseph's Nudgee College and the Southport School. Karathanasopoulos from the Southport School in bow, and Willett from St Joseph's Nudgee in stroke. Sydney Rowing Club, they're doing it well. Gersoi and Maloney comfortably through here, just a few strokes remaining. So the Nudgee, the Southport School composite, they are through. Sydney Rowing Club are through. It's going to be a battle for third in the end. It will not matter too much, but it will be worth it. The effort right to the end. It's tight. Maybe Griffith Uni Surfers Paradise Bundaberg on the line from the Southport School. Ballarat Grammar in 5th. Radford College still to come down the course, will finish in 6th place.
So confirming the results there in the third of 3 semi-finals in the under-19 men's double scull. The Nudgee Southport composite in lane 7 across the line in first. Sydney Rowing Club in second. Those two crews qualifying for the A final. Griffith University Surfers Paradise, Ballarat Grammar, Radford College and Southport School failing to qualify for that one.
7:29.78 that time, so within 4 seconds, those 3 semi-finals. So fantastic race again in the under-19 men's double. All right, time for a bit of a change in the commentary box. We've got Richard Dorstein and Lizzie Chapman coming back in. And let's count how long until we get a footy reference. Let's put the time.
Well, it's been about 4 minutes, so.
Thank you, Ben. Thank you, Chris. Great to have you both back with us this year in commentary at the National Championships. And I think we can safely bet if there is to be a football reference the next hour or so, it won't come from Lizzie Chapman sitting to my left.
Too right.
We'll promise
all about rowing,
plenty of rowing
references,
with me. Indeed.
Right, I believe we have our first repechage of the under-19 women's Coxed 4 coming up with Wendouree Ballarat in lane 3, a composite between Canberra Grammar and Canberra Girls Grammar School in lane 4. In lane 5, Seymour College from South Australia, Ballarat Grammar in 6 and Wesley College in lane 7.
2 repechages here in the under-19 women's at Coxed 4. The first and second from each race will go through to the A final. Will take place on Thursday's program. They are racing, only just underway through the first couple of 100 metres as we look over the first section of the course here. And a camera is stationed along the western banks of the Champion Lakes Regatta Centre. I believe our drone is coming in possibly as soon as tomorrow's racing, Lizzie, so we'll have those great overhead shots too as we move through towards the finals beginning tomorrow morning. The special early time, I think our first race is 7:35 tomorrow morning as well, 7:35 West Australian time. So you do your own time zone calculation for those back over east. Leading through in the early strokes of this race does look to be the Ballarat Grammar combination on lane 6, and it is certainly no surprise to see a crew from Ballarat leading in a Coxed 4 race. They are the vessel of choice for so many of the Ballarat schools who have their own very hard-fought head of the lake regatta on Lake Wendouree between the 7 or so schools that surround the Olympic course at Lake Wendouree in Ballarat, and they are going through Ballarat Grammar 2.5 seconds ahead of Wesley College in second place. That is Wesley College of Melbourne, who's also a Wesley College Perth. I'm not sure if they're competing in this year's regatta. I haven't seen their name on the program yet, but I do recall seeing them race 4 or so years ago at the Sydney International Regatta Centre as well. So leading here for Ballarat Grammar, Alicia Walker, Ella Flamsteed, Lily Bryant, Perry Eaton and Angie Gouty, the cocks of that crew. They are coached by Andy Tyndall.
And the Wesley College crew is Lauren Keneally, Caitlin Woods, Madeline Marquet Walker and Saskia Blackburn. Their cox is Indigo Walker and their coach is David Webster. And I'm presuming that's David Webster who used to cox the national team.
Yeah, I imagine so.
Seymour College, that's the crew of Grace Barrera, Caroline McNally, Abby Arnold and Georgia Walters, with Sasha Walker as their cox. Sitting in 5th position, Wendouree Ballarat. That's the crew of Emma Gowans, Tess Squire, Daisy Simpson-Kerr and Charlie Gartland. They're being coxed by Lily Connell and their coaches are Brad Putel and Paul Blanchfield. And then in 5th position, that composite between Canberra Grammar and Canberra Girls Grammar of Domi Plattis, Samantha Burns, Caitlin Natty and Sophie Mackay. Chamisha Dayajiwa is their cox and they're coached by Kendall Brody and Caroline Pipers.
Ballarat Grammar still just holding on to the lead, but Wesley College coming through pretty strongly on the outside of the course. Should recognise this Ballarat Grammar too. Lizzie just on indulgence for a moment. As you know, my wife assists with the presentations at this regatta and also several regattas in Victoria. And it was the Ballarat Grammar volunteers at the head of the schoolboys regatta who was assisting her with the presentations for that regatta, who were extremely helpful and useful, I'm told, and the credit to their school. So congratulations to Ballarat Grammar for producing some fine people and some fine athletes, and they're doing a good job in this race as well.
That's good culture then. That's what we'd say, good culture. That's a bit like at the, can't remember which regatta it was, but the parents from Sydney Girls High, who don't always feature prominently in the finished results, but absolutely fantastic, both the athletes and the parents. And you just think that's great culture, and hopefully that translates into great results further down the line.
Exactly. No, producing some great rowers and some great people too, which is of course what the education system is all about after all. It is still, or it was still, in fact, in Wesley, I haven't got updated splits now from the 1,000 metre mark. It looked like the Wesley College crew may have put themselves ahead of Ballarat Grammar. So they are now well past the 1,000 metre mark of the race, and in fact heading on down towards the 1,500. But the leading two crews still are the two on the far side looking for the qualifying spots, Ballarat Grammar and Wesley College, our two Victorian crews. And then in 3rd place, Seymour College from South Australia, sitting in the middle of the course in 3rd. Probably the Wendouree Ballarat combination. Another Ballarat crew there in lane 3. Emma Gowans, Tess Squire, Daisy Simpson-Kerr, Charlie Gartland and Lily Connell, coached by Brad Butel and Paul Blanchfield. Paul Blanchfield also coaching at Damascus College in Ballarat, so I suspect a number of those girls may have come from that school, but they sit 4th, and Canberra Grammar Composite, Canberra Grammar, Canberra Girls Grammar School, racing in lane 4 there, would sit in 5th place.
So we have at least 2 of these coaches are international coxes. Kendall Brody, who's the cox of the men's 8, coaching the Canberra Grammar School girls, and David Webster coaching the girls at Wesley College this season. Good to see, always good to see international rowers putting back into the sport. And I think we really should stress the fact that although school coaches may be paid, a lot of what goes on in the infrastructure of the events that are run, the regattas, as you said, are volunteers like your wife, like ourselves. And I was a little disturbed to hear that some of our volunteers who are assisting with managing the parking on the far side have received some rather unpleasant comments today. So just a reminder, please, if you are here at the regatta, that, you know, people around the grounds are volunteering their time, often taking a week or more off work to come to the location of the National Championships and help get everything set up and then make sure it runs smoothly. So please do say thank you rather than abusing them. It's not within their control when something goes a bit wrong or a bit awry, and everybody has come here to do the best they can. So please do be pleasant and appreciative and thank them, because we wouldn't have a regatta like this if we didn't have this army of volunteers from around the country that come back year after year to help. In fact, if you think it's not run very well, why don't you roll your sleeves up and get involved and come and volunteer with the rest of us and help make it even better?
Yeah, exactly right. Well said, Lizzie Chapman. It is Wesley College who still lead here from Ballarat Grammar. No real change in the complexion of the race, although Seymour College from South Australia is starting to make a move on the Ballarat Grammar crew. So they will have to work hard here over the final 200 metres to stay in second spot. The combination there from Ballarat Grammar, Alicia Walker, Ella Flamsteed, Lily Bryant, Perry Eaton and Angie Gouty. They are coached by Andy Tyndall. And they do look to be responding to the Wesley Challenge coming there from the centre of the course. The Seymour College Challenge, I should say, in the centre of the course. Wesley are in front. They've got a length and a half, certainly, on the crew from Ballarat Grammar, who are lifting, as is the crew from Seymour College there in the centre lane. So this one may yet come down to the closing strokes of the race. Ballarat Grammar in second place, probably 2/3 of a length up on Seymour College as these Bowcocks boats surge towards the finish line. Certainly Wesley College lane 7 are comfortably clear by 2 lengths. They will go through to the final of the under-19 women's Cox 4. Seymour College keep pushing, but will not quite get close enough, and the Ballarat Grammar combination will qualify for the A final of the under-19 women's Cox 4. So it is Wesley in first place, Ballarat Grammar second, Seymour College third in quick succession. Then in fourth place across on the far side, Wendouree, Ballarat, and in fifth it will be the Canberra Grammar and Canberra Girls Grammar composite crew. Still a few strokes to go for those couple of crews. The green boat there is the crew of Wendouree Ballarat on the far side. Then the Canberra composite crew will follow them across the line.
And as these final crews approach the line, we can confirm the results of the first repechage of the under-19 women's Cox 4 was a win for Wesley College, Victoria, and second Ballarat Grammar, Victoria. Those 2 crews progress through to the A final. The remainder are eliminated, and that's Seymour College, South Australia, Wendouree Ballarat from Victoria, and Canberra Girls Grammar composite from ACT. Winning time 8 minutes 8.93, the margin 6.92. The second repechage of the under-19 women's Cox 4 is now in progress with another crew from Wesley College. They are in lane 3. In lane 4, Canberra Grammar School. In lane 5, Pymble Ladies College. In lane 6, Caulfield Grammar. And in lane 7, Seymour College. The crew from Wesley College is Amelie Spurrett, Jasmine Woolhouse, Aurora Slewinski and Ella Davey, coxed by Ollie Fennell and coached by David Webster. The Canberra Grammar crew is Yaya Rangia, Holly Hayward, Hayley Noyes and Madison Duncan, coxed by Amelia Mukherjee and coached by Kendall Brody. The Pymble Ladies College crew is Catherine Walker, Holly Craig, Charlotte Hartin and Alessandra Brasic, coxed by Serena Lung and coached by Ali Williams. The Caulfield Grammar crew is Olive Pascoe, Annabelle Barnett, Emily Condron and Ella Maskiel, coxed by Ivy Jones and coached by Hannah Every Hall. And lane 7 Seymour College crew is Zali Gruntonoff, Amelia Linton, subbing in for her, Anya Felderhoff and Daisy Holland, coxed by Olivia Rhymes.
Seymour College just missed out in the previous repechage of the under-19 women's Cox 4, but they're a good chance here to qualify a boat through to the A final in this second of 2 repechages. The crew there on lane 7, farthest away from the camera side of the course, has about a length on the Hannah Every Hall coach combination from Caulfield Grammar in Melbourne. They're on lane 6, and those 2 have put a reasonable margin back on the rest of the field, so they look to be our 2 qualifying boats. You can see there just a few bit of splashing off the blades of the Caulfield Grammar crew, so it is still challenging conditions out there on the water, even though it does look a fair bit smoother than it was at the beginning of the day. So they are our top 2 crews, then a gap back to Canberra Grammar, who remain in third as they were at the 1,000 metre mark, narrowly ahead of Pymble Ladies lane 5. And Wesley College on the far side of the course, again with 2 crews in these repechages. They won the previous repechage, but likely to finish 5th in this one. But Seymour College comfortably in front by a length ahead of Caulfield Grammar. Moving down now through the final 500 metres of this race, and a decent crowd there on the eastern bank of the course as they build up, I suspect, for some of the big boat races to come later on today. Plenty of schools involved, which always swells the crowds here at the National Championships. And getting a good look here of this crew from Seymour College of South Australia, going through shortly, you would think, to the A final of the Under-19 Women's Cox 4. No B final in these big boat races, so it is just an A final to take place on Friday morning in the Under-19 Women's Cox 4. The two heat winners yesterday qualified directly for that race. The top two from the previous repechage and from this race will complete the field of 6 in that final, and it does look like it will be Seymour College and Caulfield Grammar still. A good race for 3rd and 4th. Canberra Grammar and Pymble Ladies there fighting that one out. And our race continues to be led by Azali Goodenough, Amelia Linton, Anya Felderhoff, Daisy Holland and Olivia Rhymes in the cock seat of that boat from Seymour College. Caulfield Grammar in second, Olive Pascoe, Annabelle Barnett, Emily Condren, Ella Maskill and Ivy Jones. And they will indeed be our two qualifiers through the final 2 spots into the final of the Under-19 Women's Cox 4. Go the way of Seymour College of South Australia and Caulfield Grammar from Victoria. About 2 lengths between them as they come across the finish line now. And a couple of lengths further back to 3rd and 4th. It's still tight, and Pymble Ladies have come home over the top of Canberra Grammar, and they'll finish in 3rd spot. So they will finish 1 place higher. Pymble Ladies by 2/3 of a length from Canberra Grammar 4th, and Wesley College from Victoria will finish in 5th place.
Confirming the results of the second repechage of the Under-19 Women's Cox 4, a win for Seymour College, second Caulfield Grammar. These 2 crews will progress through to the final. Eliminated now from the event, Pymble Ladies College, Canberra Grammar and Wesley College. The first repechage of the Under-19 Men's Cox 4 is now in progress. In lane 3, Mossman Rowing Club. In lane 4, St Peter's College. In lane 5, Swan River and Wesley College Composite. In lane 6, Wesley College from Victoria. In lane 7, the Hutchins School from Tasmania. In the Mossman crew, we have Owen Balharry, William Robertson, Jack Groves and Harry Coddington, coxed by Hamish Reid and coached by Kieran Kabelke. In lane 4, the St Peter's College is George Wicks, Josh Myers, George Griffith and Hugh Hazel, coxed by Philippe Scalzi and coached by Nathan Bowden. The composite crew in lane 5 is Hunter Isaacs, Jonty Wellberry and Zander Skyring from Wesley College, with James Young from Swan River Rowing Club, coxed by Cato Pacioli and coached by Tom Manifi. The Victorian Wesley College crew in lane 6 is Charlie Johnston, James Hyde, Nicholas Bryant and Amos Kirk, coxed by Josh Furferkrantz and coached by Tom Manifi. Right, that makes me think that Wesley College in lane 5 composite is a Victorian composite, or a mixture of WA and Victoria. And the Tasmanian crew is Charles Leesong, Rowan Sanderson, Falcon Palmer and Archie Stewart, coxed by Angus Watling and coached by Andrew Palmer.
Yes, I think it is Wesley. So Wesley College Perth make up the majority of the lane 5 crew, and Wesley College from Melbourne the lane 6 combination, just to make things slightly confusing. Wait till we get all the Lorettos racing later on, Lizzie. That's always when it gets exciting. But it is the 2 crews on the inside lane here, 1st and 2nd. That's Hutchins in 7 from Tasmania and Wesley College of Melbourne in lane 6. I imagine are a substantial part or half, I think, of the Wesley College 8 that made a bold bid for victory in the Melbourne Head of the River back at Ngambie Lakes on Saturday. In the end, just beaten by Scotch College. And they're coming home strongly here again, the Wesley College combination on lane 6, looking to make up some ground. And Hutchins, who are still just in front there, Charles Leesong, Rowan Sanderson, Falcon Palmer, Archie Stewart and Angus Watling. Ahead of the Wesley crew, Charlie Johnson, James Hyde, Nicholas Bryant, Amos Kirk and Josh Pfefferkrans. The 2 will go to the line in about 80 metres, almost locked together it seems. They're well clear of the rest of the field, probably St Peter's College next best in 3rd place. But only 2 will go through to the semi-finals here. Hutchins and Wesley College, likely in that order, as the Wesley College combination to move to within 1/3 of a length of our race leaders. But Hutchins will hold on and go across and take out the win on lane 7. Hutchins first, Wesley College second, both are through to the semi-finals of the Under-19 Men's Cox 4 with a big field of entries in this event. So several rounds of racing required to sort out our finalists in a couple of days' time. 3rd place to St Peter's College from South Australia. 4th is that composite Swan River Wesley College West Australian crew, so we believe. And then Mossman Rowing Club, lane 3, will finish in 5th place.
So just confirming that in the under-19 men's Coxed 4 Repechage 1, it is the Hutchins School who came first and Wesley College Victoria who came second. Those two crews will progress to the semi-final. Dropping out of the event now, St Peter's College South Australia, the Swan River Wesley College Composite and Mossman Rowing Club.
Crowds are certainly building up. These school crews take to the water too, Liz. You can hear plenty of noise coming through from the banks of the course here.
Certainly can. Exciting. Well, we have another repechage in the under-19 men's Coxed 4. There are 4 repechages in total. This is repechage number 2. In lane 3, we have a composite between Trinity College, St Peter's College and Unley High of William Barone, Jasper Boyce, Ryan Fowler and Liam Giron, coxed by Thomas Whiteman, coached by James McRae and Daniel Ralph. In lane 4, from St Kevin's, Matisse Kerr, James Berry, Maximus Raffaniello and James Sutherland, coxed by Shaylia Ryan, coached by Brendan Scott, Charlie Dixon and Martin Francis. The Hutchins School, that Trinity composite has scratched, we've just noticed. The Hutchins School crew in lane 5, Scotch College Adelaide are in lane 6 and Wendouree Ballarat are in lane 7. In the Wendouree Ballarat crew, we have James Forsyth, Angus Murfitt, Joshua Matheson and Charlie McClure, coxed by Ashlyn Hall, coached by Paul Blanchfield and Richard McClure. In lane 6, Scotch College Adelaide is Max Brammy, Oscar Kittle, Harry Dangerfield and Lee Wingard, coxed by Tom Wright, coached by James Seppelt and Tim Belcher. And the Hutchins crew from Tasmania is Sam Meikle, Campbell Mounter, Jacob Feidler and Oliver Hart, coxed by Reuben Cousins and coached by Andrew Palmer.
Right in front, it is Wendouree Ballarat Rowing Club in lane 7. Think, looking at the names, this is predominantly a Ballarat Clarendon school combination, who are the head of the lake winners for their school, winning both the girls and the boys head of the lake in 2023. But rowing here under the Wendouree Ballarat Rowing Club name, James Forsyth, Angus Murfitt, Joshua Matheson, Charlie McClure and Ashlyn Hall, coached by Paul Blanchfield and Richard McClure, so possibly a mix of a couple of the Ballarat schools in that boat. But they're leading in any case, the crew from Wendouree Ballarat, Scotch Adelaide and St Kevin's racing for the second and third spots. St Kevin's were third in the head of the river at Lake Ngambie on the weekend, but they've got some work to do here. The crew in lane 4 with Scotch Adelaide lane 6, probably just holding on to second spot at this stage. First and second only will go through to the semi-finals. St Kevin's certainly coming into this race late, but have a bit of ground still to make up on Scotch Adelaide in the race for second and a qualifying spot to the semi-finals. Wendouree Ballarat are clear by just over a length. They should be the first crew to go through from this particular repechage to the semis of the under-19 men's Cox 4. Scotch Adelaide still holding off St Kevin's as they push towards the line, and Scotch Adelaide will get there by 2/3 of a length in second place. So they move through to the semi-finals. St Kevin's will just miss out in third place. And then fourth will go the way of the Hutchins School, lane 5, the Tasmanian combination now. Just a couple of strokes to go to complete the 2,000 metre course. So Wendouree Ballarat and Scotch College Adelaide, our top 2 schools in race 272.
Ooh, already producing some great racing. So in that second repechage of the under-19 men's Coxed 4, a win for Wendouree Ballarat and second Scotch College Adelaide. Those 2 crews will now progress to the semi-final. Now dropping out of the event, the crew from St Kevin's and the crew from Hutchins. Provisional time for that race was 7 minutes 15.82 compared with 7:09.17 in the previous repechage. And now we have the third repechage of the under-19 men's Coxed 4. In lane 3 we have Christian Brothers School from South Australia. In lane 4's Southport School crew has scratched. In lane 5 we have the Canberra Grammar School. In lane 6 Xavier College Victoria, and in lane 7 Prince Alfred College in South Australia. The crew from Christian Brothers is Jordan Wilson, Cooper Hoskin, Lachlan Hancock and Sam Jackson, coxed by Michael Henley, and their coaches are Alex Meath and Jonty Rutai. But it's Prince Alfred College in lane 7 that's in the lead. That's the crew of Sebastian Atherton, Sebastian Jordan, Felix Katsaros and Henry Belcher, who's stepped in for Henry Norton, with Nick Mitaloudis of in the Cox's seat, and their coach is Brian Richardson. So they were first through the 1,000-metre mark, but less than a length behind them, Xavier College in lane 6. The crew of William McNamara, Cormac O'Callaghan, Felix Lynch and Patrick Crow, coxed by Zane Tackler and coached by Sean Lake.
Yes, 2.22 seconds between our top two there. Lucy, Prince Alfred College from Xavier College at the halfway mark of the race. And just 2 qualifying spots on offer here through to the semi-finals of the Under-19 Men's Cox for a big field of entries requiring both repechage or 4 repechages and then 2 semi-finals to get to our 6 finalists. Third sits Canberra Grammar and 4th Christian Brothers at this stage.
The Canberra Grammar crew is Harry Budd, James Bjerregaard, Dylan Outram and Will Hawkins. Jack McDonald is coxing them, and they're coached by Chris Polyachinin. And I think we read through Christian Brothers already.
Yeah, Christian Brothers, one of 2 South Australian crews in this race, but they're spread out pretty much across the course in reverse lane order in this race. So again, our roving course reporter Stuart John has come back in to tell us it is still fairly rough out there. It might look a lot better on the screen, and certainly the wind has dropped from this morning, but conditions still quite challenging, especially in the early part of the course. So the preferred lane draw still in operation here. The favoured crews, or the higher ranked crews from the earlier races, on the eastern side of the course, the side furthest away from the camera if you're watching on the live stream. That's why you see a lot of races being led from that far side going now past the spectator tents. Prince Alfred College from South Australia, certainly one of the strong crews in the South Australian rowing competition, and they lead Xavier College. Looks to be, again, half of the Xavier College first 8, who finished 4th, I think in the end it was, in the head of the river on the weekend. Very close race, one on the end by Scotch College, but in this case it's going to be Prince Alfred College leading it still from Xavier and Canberra Grammar, and back to Christian Brothers across on the far side, who are well back in 4th place. So pushing away late here is the PAC combination from South Australia, who are going to extend their lead out to probably a couple of lengths by the time they get to the finish line. Prince Alfred College, who will move through to the next round of racing. Semi-finals tomorrow in the Under-19 Men's Cox 4, and a final to come then on Friday for our top 6 crews from those semis. And Prince Alfred College will go through with a comfortable repechage win in race 273, beating home the crew from Xavier College. Canberra Grammar did make up some ground late in the race, but Xavier certainly doing enough there as they go across in 2nd place and qualify for the semis. 3rd place Canberra Grammar will just miss out, and 4th the crew from Christian Brothers.
Confirming the results of the 3rd repechage in the Under-19 Men's Cox 4, a win for Prince Alfred College, 2nd Xavier College. Those 2 crews progress through to the semi-final. 3rd Canberra Grammar School, 4th Christian Brothers. They are now eliminated from the event. And now we move to our 4th and final repechage of the Under-19 Men's Cox 4. Prince Alfred College are in lane 4. St Kevin's in lane 5. Xavier College in lane 6. And St Patrick's College, Victoria, in lane 7. In the Prince Alfred College crew, we have Marcus Gibson, Henry Norton, James Williams and Angus Rickard Bell, coxed by Peter Moore and coached by Brian Richardson. In the St Kevin's crew, we have Daniel DeMoro, James Ragg, Sam Chapman and Luke Ryan, coxed by Casper Reed, coached by Brendan Scott and Charlie Dixon. In the Xavier College crew, we have James Power, Will Allen, Indy Ronchi and Lockie Seven, coxed by Cooper Knoll and coached by Sean Lake. And in the St Patrick's College crew, we have Ned Bennett, Paddy O'Brien, James Halsell and William Hexter, coxed by Isaac Martin and coached by David O'Doherty.
3 Victorian crews in this race. St Patrick's College, of course, another of the Ballarat schools that do compete so regularly in Cox Ford. So St Patrick's of Ballarat there in lane 7. Xavier College in lane 6. It is the other half of their first 8 that, yes, were narrowly 4th in the head of the river at Ngambie Lakes back on Saturday. Pretty good day for Xavier College. They won the Division 4, Division 3 and Division 2 8s at the Victorian head of the river, and were in the first 8 race until the concluding stages. Actually, they were second, I think, at halfway, and in the end finished back in 4th place. But a very strong day for Xavier College at the top level of racing, and they'd probably be narrowly second, but still here behind St Patrick's of Ballarat on lane 7, who do, between them at least, those 2 crews sit in the 2 qualifying spots. St Patrick's leading Xavier College. St Kevin's there as well. Again, half looks like of their first 8 who finished 3rd in that same race. So the order in the end amongst the Melbourne schools was Scotch, Wesley, St Kevin's and Xavier, the top 4. And a lot of those crews have split into 2 4s to race here in the under-19 men's Cox 4 event. But it's St Patrick's from Ballarat who still lead here by probably stretching out to about a length now over Xavier College in second. And I still wouldn't write off the St Kevin's crew either. They were narrowly rode out in the opening repechage of this race, so just missing out in a spot in the final there.
So hard, isn't it? It's so tight and only 2 to go through. And you just think that they've come off the back of a head of the river. They're rowing in Cox 4s in windy conditions. Just all credit to these athletes who are also studying.
Yes, they've got to find some time for some schoolwork occasionally. It's certainly been a busy couple of weeks for these crews, a lot of whom were onto a plane on Monday and Tuesday after the head of the river on Saturday to come across to race here at the Nationals. But St Patrick's Ballarat still holding off this race, and the 2 Melbourne schools side by side there. St Kevin's and Xavier College going stroke for stroke for 1 qualifying spot, it looks like. St Patrick's of Ballarat certainly have their boat about 1 length clear. 2 crews here to go through. St Kevin's and Xavier College alongside them. Still nothing between those 2 crews. Maybe Xavier just, but Scott still making up ground with 4 or 5 strokes to go. St Patrick's from Ballarat in front. They will take out this heat by about a length and a half. It's still tight for second. Xavier, St Kevin's as they push Xavier just in front. I think they'll get there. Xavier College unofficially ahead of the crew from St Kevin's. It's come up as a photo on the screen, so we'll wait for the confirmation there. It certainly came down to the last couple of strokes, but St Patrick's from Ballarat on lane 7 of 1 repechage 4 of the under-19 men's at Cox 4. Second, either Xavier or St Kevin's. We will get that result through shortly. Did look as if AB Xavier just hung on, but if the race had been 2 or 3 strokes longer, I'm not sure. So I'll wait and see in that one. Prince Alfred College in 4th place, the crew there from South Australia round out the field of 4, Lizzie, in an exciting race, 274.
Yeah, we'll have to come back and give you those results, because as Richard said, it's only 2 through to the semi-final, and whoever came 3rd is going to be dropping out of this particular event. I guess that means they can focus on something else, but it's so tough. Here we go. Xavier College, so confirming the results of repechage 4 in the under-19 men's Cox 4. An exciting finish. St Patrick's College Victoria take the win. Xavier College place 2nd. St Kevin's 3rd. Prince Alfred College 4th. Xavier College and St Patrick's College will progress through to the semi-final, and St Kevin's and Prince Alfred College now drop off. Winning time 7 minutes 13.49. We've now got the repechage of the under-21 women's Cox 4. There's just 1 repechage, and the first 2 will progress through to the final. We have 4 crews. In lane 4, Rockham. Oh, and they've scratched, so we've only got to drop 1. So in lane 5, Mercantile. In lane 6, Melbourne University. And in lane 7, Queenwood. The Mercantile crew, Bridget Somerville, Abigail Cox, Olivia Nairn and Felicity Murray. Their Cox is Isabel Finch, and their coaches are Sam Fennessy and Annabelle Eaton. In lane 6 from Melbourne University, just up the road from Mercantile, Mary O'Donnell, Tiffany Crosthwaite, Chloe Amling and Ellie McClure, coxed by Sarah Chapman and coached by Connor McConville. And in lane 7 from Queenwood, their under-19 women's Coxed 4, Chloe Driver, Charlotte Botha, Alexandra O'Brien and Imogen Gray, coxed by Chloe Giretta, coached by Kieron Glynn, Ray Boyle and Alan Bennett. So yesterday, that Queenwood crew, they raced the under-19s, they won, they rode around, swapped their bow number, went straight back out and raced the under-21s and narrowly missed going straight into the final. So here they come again. Second chance to fish.
They're doing a very good job of that fishing too, Lizzie. Out well clear, the Queenwood crew. So you've got a slight interest in this crew, I'd suggest, by the coaching list.
Just a little, yeah. That is my husband AB, who's part of the coaching team there, and I must say I think they're very impressive. This is half of the Queenwood first 8.
Talking to someone yesterday who didn't actually know your husband's name was Alan Bennett. It was just always AB. They
Yeah,
were very confused he had a real name.
Oh, well, I get very confused when people call him Alan. Who?
He's a busy man, certainly, in coaching circles in New South Wales, and certainly this Queenwood crew is showing out comfortably in front ahead of the traditional rivals from Melbourne there, Mercantile and Melbourne University side by side in lanes 5 and 6, at least in terms of lane allocations, but it's Melbourne Uni comfortably second as well. So Queenwood in front, Chloe Driver, Charlotte Botha, Alexandra O'Brien, Imogen Gray and Chloe Giretta ahead of Melbourne Uni. Mary O'Donnell, Tiffany Crosthwaite, Chloe Amling, Ellie McClure and Sarah Chapman. They look to be the 2 that will qualify still with a quarter of this race remaining. About to come through 1,500 metres in the first repechage of the under-21 women's Cox 4. The first of just, in fact, it's the sole repechage of the under-21 women's Cox 4. So our first 4 finalists decided through the heats yesterday, and there's 2 more crews to move through from a field of 3 with that scratching of Rockhampton Fitzroy. And certainly it's the Mercantile crew with the job in front of them. That's Bridget Somerville, Abigail Cox, Olivia Nan, Felicity Murray and Isabel Finch in the third place crew, in danger of being eliminated from this event.
So yeah, we've got these juniors who are under-19s in the Queenwood crew, and then next to them in the Melbourne University crew there's a great stable of women there being coached by Connor McConville, but 2 of them, Tiffany Crosthwaite and Chloe Amling, were in the junior women's 8 for Australia last year. So oh, and Ellie McClure. Apologies, Ellie. Didn't
Yeah, she was Ellie McClure, one of the Ballarat Clarendon rowers.
Ah, yes.
Now at Melbourne Uni.
Yeah, yeah. So we were talking about this before, weren't we? You know, there is a pathway into an American university, but such a great education if you go to a university, especially the old sandstone universities here. Excellent education, so why would you not? And great rowing.
Exactly, great. Yeah, that's precisely right. And they've had, yeah, certainly for the Ballarat schools, at least a great education there in Ballarat with those huge schools that do surround Lake Wendouree, and now moved on to the surroundings of Melbourne University as well. And sitting pretty comfortably in second place too, that Victorian combination behind the crew from Queenwood.
So looking like they'll secure the second place to get through to the final. The Queenwood crew of Chloe Driver, Charlotte Botha, Alex O'Brien and Imi Gray, with Chloe Giretta their Cox, making their way into the second of the finals, the 2 events that they've targeted, or 2 of the events they've targeted. So they'll now be in the under-19 women's Cox 4 and the under-21 women's Cox 4, looking pretty good.
Queenwood it is across the line. Melbourne University will finish in second place, about 3 lengths between those 2 crews, so comfortable qualification also for Melbourne Uni, and third place will be the Mercantile combination with a few strokes to go as well.
Now we have the repechage of the under-21 men's Cox 4. Again, there's just 1 repechage and the first 2 will progress through to the final. In lane 3, a crew from Sydney Rowing Club of MacArthur Bucknell, Rory Menzies, Alec Hoskin and Gordon Applequin, Cox coxed by Jasmine Collins. In lane 4, a crew from Sydney Rowing Club of Oliver Maroulis, James Fredrickson and John Kenny, coxed by Matilda Marconis. In lane 5, the composite from Melbourne University and Swan River Rowing Club of Fergus McCallan, Fergus McNamara, James Horton and Oliver Frangos, coxed by Ray Poon. In lane 6 from Adelaide University Boat Club, Callum Deckers, Edward Chipperfield, Max Henry and Joshua Felderhoff, coxed by Aidan Hughes. And in lane 7 from the University of Queensland, Nick Munro, Robert Atkinson, Lex Tucker and Monty Martin, coxed by Lachlan McLean. And yes, you are hearing correctly. In Sydney Rowing Club, in lane 4, the crew does contain 2 gentlemen who are called James Fredrickson. One is Fredrickson with a C and the other Fredrickson with a K.
Which makes all the difference in the pronunciation, doesn't it?
Absolutely. And that's caught me out a couple of times calling races in New South Wales, but by spotting the difference between their 2 names, they did a pair. We were talking about this earlier. Ferguson, Fredrickson and Fredrickson. Why not? Well, you just have to do it for a laugh, just because your names were the same.
To make our jobs difficult. But brilliant race here, Lee, between 2 crews on opposite sides of the course. Brilliant race here, Lizzie, between the crews on opposite sides of the course. With on our side, it is the University of Queensland combination and Sydney Rowing Club, the Fredrickson. In fact, no, it's the other crew from Sydney Rowing Club lane 3, not the Fredrickson combination on lane 4, who sit in second place. There was just 0.17 of a second between lanes 3 and 7. And it still remains fairly tight here. Only 2 crews will go through, so it's almost certain it will beat the 2 on opposite sides of the course. But University of Queensland lane 7, with Monty Martin in that crew, being coached by his father Randall Martin, along with Peter Toon, and the University of Queensland combination now do look to be, well, it's still a tight battle with Sydney on lane 3. And both do look set to go through, but pretty hard to line those 2 up with several vacant lanes up between them across the course. Sydney Rowing Club, the far side, University of Queensland on this side. The UQ crew does seem to be lifting up late to try and maintain themselves in the lead if they can. They were narrowly behind after 1,500 metres. It's still very tight between these 2, but Sydney Rowing Club just, I think, have their boat in front. A couple of strokes to go. Very close here on the line. Sydney might just have hung on, but once again, I think we might need a photo finish there, as those crews were about 5 lanes apart from each other, so very difficult to line them up, and we're not sitting precisely on the finish line here either. But those 2 will go through in any case. Sydney on lane 3, University of Queensland lane 7. 3rd place goes to Sydney on lane 4. 4th will be the crew alongside their Melbourne University Swan River composite, just ahead of Adelaide University in 5th place. So we await confirmation of the placings, but our qualifiers are certain in this repechage.
That's right, repechage 1 of the under-21 men's coxed 4. A photo finish between the University of Queensland and Sydney Rowing Club, but those 2 crews will progress through to the final, and now eliminated from the event will be the 2nd Sydney Rowing Club crew that was stroked by John Kenny, the Melbourne University Swan River composite and the Adelaide University crew. And we'll have to come back to you with a time, because we don't have a time either, it being a photo finish. Now we move to the under-23 women's double scull, where there is 1 repechage with the first 2 to progress through to the final. And because of a scratching by Toowong, the Sydney University composite, there are only 3 crews to contest the 2 places. The first is in lane 4. It's Lola Davies from Swan River with Olivia Georgilopoulos from Griffith Unisurfers Paradise. The second is in lane 5. It's the UTS Haberfield Rowing Club crew of Sophia Aguirre and Amelia Cooper, coached by Katie Healy. And the third crew is in lane 7. It's the ANU crew of Elora Kelly and Eloise Lambden, coached by Tom Krieber and Nigel Harding. And we talked about Amelia Cooper before. She was pretty handy at the Coastal Rowing National Championships, but so was Sophia Aguirre. She was pretty good too. Sophia is actually from Mexico and was part of the Mexican national team. I think she's probably still under 23, and she's reserved for the New South Wales lightweight women's quad.
Combination just narrowly sits second here. The UTS Haberfield crew behind ANU's Ella Kelly and Eloise Lambden At least that was the way it was at the 1,000-metre mark. ANU leading UTS and Griffith University Surfers Paradise in third place. I think it was just the 3 crews ending this race. Was it scratching there of the Toowong composite combination? So yes, just 3 crews and 2 to move through to the final directly of the under-23 women's double scull. The last 2 final spots soon to be determined.
Yeah, that ANU composite of Laura Kelly and Louise Lambden, part of the programme run out of the ACTAS shed by Tom Krieber, and the ANU squad run by Nigel Harding. So have certainly contested at the highest level throughout the season, and that's giving them a bit of a chance in these rough conditions. Looking neat, but looking quite powerful, and closing in on them, the UTS Haberfield crew of Sophia Aguirre and Amelia Cooper. Happily handling these coastal conditions.
Yes, they are indeed very used to it, and they've moved up to within a length now in the battle for first and second there. It is ANU from UTS Haberfield still in second place. Griffith University Surfers Paradise, the crew to the right of screen there, clearly in third. But it is certainly the 2 crews on the far side who are in the qualifying spots. Ella Kelly and Eloise Lambden ahead of Sophia Aguera and Amelia Cooper as they continue through this rough water. Roughish, but improving water.
Yeah, the UTS Haberfield have become a bit of a centre for coastal rowing, because Elliot Shackcloth Bertonetti, known as EB, not to be confused
oh,
with
that's
AB,
us get confused.
is quite a leading coach in the field of that now, and Katie Healy runs the women's squad, but she and Elliot work really closely together. I do recall that, yes, here it is, that there are online coaching accreditation courses now for coastal rowing. So if you are interested in coastal rowing and you want to have a look at it, it's an exciting new growth area of our sport, so you can learn much more about it. You can go directly to that part of the Rowing Australia website by typing in education.rowingaustralia.com.au, and you can have a look at coastal rowing by going to the display in one of the boat sheds here at the Australian Rowing Championships.
If you get into it quickly, you can try and make the Australian team for the Commonwealth Games in 2026. Plenty of opportunities in coastal rowing coming up, and it may well be on the Olympic program before too long as well. Increasingly close here between these 2 combinations in the under-23 women's double scull sole repechage. Both will go through, but the order obviously important as far as lane allocations are concerned, but it will remain that the Australian National University is in first position, and in the end it will be just over a length ahead of UTS Haberfield in second place. So those 2 crews will both go through from race 277 ahead of Lola Davies and Olivia Georgilopoulos from the Griffith University Surfers Paradise and Swan River Rowing Clubs.
Confirming the results of the repechage of the under-23 women's double scull. A win for ANU, second UTS Haberfield. These 2 crews will progress through to the final. Eliminated, Griffith Uni Surfers Paradise and Swan River Composite. Winning time 8 minutes 7.39 seconds. The repechage of the open women's double scull is now in progress. It has been consolidated from 2 repechages into 1. In lane 3, representing Toowong and ANU, Bonnie Andrews and Catherine Plume. In lane 4, representing Brisbane and GPS, Kate Morris and Marnie Evans. In lane 5, representing ANU, Catherine Kahn and Taylor Caudle. In lane 6, representing Sydney University Boat Club, Nikki Greenland and Ella Mentzinis. And in lane 7, from Sydney Rowing Club, Sarah Hoare and Harriet Hudson. What are they doing in a repechage?
Yeah, not the progression you'd expect for that particularly well-credentialed combination, but they are in the favoured lane in lane 7, and from that look across the course, they are, I think, what at Henley you would describe as comfortably or easily in front.
So we have a world gold medalist in the bow seat and a Olympic bronze medalist in the stroke seat. I would hope you would have, and rowing in a lovely M-Packer, because of course they're at Sydney Rowing Club. We have plenty of Empackers to go around.
Yes, yes.
Harriet Hudson, also supported by the New South Wales Institute of Sport, and Sarah by the ACT High Performance Programme, the equivalent of ACTAS, and both of them based at the Women's National Training Centre, and both of them selected into the senior team for Australia for this coming international season. In the lane next to them, lane 6, we have Nikki Greenland. So although she's studying at Sydney University, she is part of the ACT rowing team, and she'll be representing them in both the Single Scull and in the Queen's Cup 8 come Sunday afternoon. And also in the ACT team, Taylor Cordell and Catherine Kahn, who are in the Double Scull in lane 5, coached by Nigel Harding.
Lizzie, I've just been refreshing to get the photo finish result from that very close race a few minutes ago, race 276. It looks to me like it may have been declared a dead heat in the end between Sydney and UQ. So no wonder we couldn't split them, but it does. They've both been given the same time here, 7:03.40 for both Sydney Rowing Club and University of Queensland. That does look to me to be the official result. It's up on the event website. So I think that's our first dead heat of the regatta. That's the first dead heat in some years. I don't recall a dead heat before, but they've gone to the photo finish, and after several zooms, it looks like we have a dead heat between Sydney and University of Queensland. The good news, of course, is that both were going through to the final in any case, so it doesn't matter in terms of progression, but how they choose who gets the best lane remains to be seen. We'll let our officials sort that one out, but a dead heat in race 276 between Sydney and University of Queensland. We should point out for those watching on the live stream, we are not quite on the finish line in our commentary position here. We share this commentary level with the photo finish camera, which for some reason is given pride of place on the finish line, and we are sent off to the corner of the building instead. So we will wait as required in a closed finish for the photo finish camera and officials to do their job and judge the closed finishes. But that is as close as it gets, a dead heat. It won't be a dead heat here, certainly not for the lead at least, because Sarah Hoare and Harriet Hudson, as Lizzie explained, two very well credentialed and experienced rowers with a number of medals from around the world, are in a repechage, possibly somewhat surprisingly, but for the Sydney Rowing Club combination of Hoare and Hudson, they'll go through as the next qualifiers for the final of the Open Women's Double Scull. It's a bit tighter for second place, but still it looks like Nicola Greenland and Ella Mentzines are there ahead of Catherine Kahn and Taylor Cordell of the Australian National University. So Sydney Uni will be the second qualifier, and they'll hold on by about a length and a half ahead of ANU in third, who will just miss out on a qualifying spot, and they continue across the course in reverse lane order. Kate Morris and Marnie Evans of Brisbane and GPS will finish fourth, and Bonnie Andrews and Catherine Plume of Toowong and the Australian National University will finish in fifth. So Sarah Hoare and Harriet Hudson, a fairly comfortable row of the course, and they will go through in the end of the final of the Open Women's Double Scull.
Confirming the results of the repechage of the Open Women's Double Scull, a win for Sydney Rowing Club, second Sydney University Boat Club. These two crews will progress through to the A final. Third ANU, fourth Brisbane and GPS, fifth Toowong ANU. These crews are now eliminated from the event. Winning time 7 minutes 47.58, the margin 17.76. Our next race is at 2:55, 3 minutes away, and it will be the one repechage now of the men's Open Double Scull. So two were slated, but they have been consolidated into one race. Again, one repechage, and therefore the first two to progress through to the final. In lane 2, representing Banks Rowing Club, we have Heinrich Vensky and Kane Bullock. In lane 3, from Pine Rivers, Henry Borger and Michael Hart, coached by Alan and Catherine Borger. In lane 4, from North Esk and Buckingham Rowing Clubs in Tasmania, Joseph Wilson and Jack Barrett, coached by Trevor Barrett. In lane 7, from Ballarat City Rowing Club, Riley McDougall and William Gilbert, coached by Grant McKechnie. In lane 6, a composite between Marcus Delamata of UTS and the New South Wales Institute of Sport, and Nick Blackman of Adelaide University and the South Australian Sports Institute. Their coaches are Elliot Shackloff-Bertonetti from UTS and Nick Mitchell from SASI. And in lane 7, from Banks, a second Banks crew, this one is Marcus Kane and James Meads, coached by Brendan Scott. And here we go, another coastal rower, Marcus Della Mata, who won, I think it was a bronze medal out in Namibia at the Commonwealth Regatta that was held a few months ago.
Yeah, certainly, as we heard from the opening interview today, it's a great chance to see some pretty nice parts of the world by definition. I think to host a coastal rowing event, you've got to have some nice beaches. As I think I said to you yesterday, the day before, that I believe Torquay will be the venue for the coastal rowing at the Commonwealth Games in 2026, for those familiar with that part of the world. So some nice beaches on the surf coast in Victoria.
A little bit warmer than the Torquay over in Europe, I would think.
Well, yes, in March, I think when the games are on, it should be. It does get cold there in winter, and the water temperature never gets, as someone who's lived many decades in Queensland, the Victorian beaches don't quite have it for comfort levels, unless you own a wetsuit or two. But yes, there'll be a big occasion there. The whole Commonwealth Games, spread as they are right across Victoria too, which is great to see. So events in Geelong, in Ballarat, in Bendigo, and in Gippsland. The opening ceremony at the MCG, and obviously things like the beach sprints and coastal rowing at Torquay. So it's been shared around the state.
It's going to be fantastic. Aren't we lucky? So we'll have that in 2026, and from a rowing perspective, we've obviously got the Olympics in 2032, but I know there's just a plethora of sports having major competitions. I think we've got a couple of major canoe kayak competitions coming up even this year, so very exciting.
Busy few years coming up, especially for you as the voice of canoeing too. Travelling the country and the world to follow what's happening.
Canoe, interestingly, has 9 different disciplines, so we whinge a little bit. We've got sweep and sculling in our classic rowing, and then we have coastal rowing and indoor rowing, but canoe kayak has 9 disciplines, and then within it all the other different sub-disciplines.
That include, is it the Canadian where they have the one knee down and one leg up?
Yes, that's right, exactly. That's called canoe, and then when you've got a paddle with blades on either end, that's called kayaking. So there's the sprint version of that, there's the whitewater version of that, there's the canoe marathon version of that, the canoe polo version of that, and so it goes
polo,
on.
That does.
Canoe
as in
polo,
with
it's really popular.
With a ball?
I presume so.
Yes, okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
Possibilities are endless. We're missing out on them. We thought coastal rowing was novel, but we could be having...
Well, the thing that's novel about their sport is they face the way they're going. I still can't quite come to terms with that.
Was it Gough Whitlam who said rowing is a great sport for politicians because you can face one way while going the other?
Probably.
We have had a start, after all, in this race. They're 500 metres through already in this repechage of the open men's double scull. This is, and it's the Adelaide Uni UTS Haberfield composite crew, Marcus Della Mata and Nick Blackman, who are the leaders by 1.5 seconds from Banks in second place. Banks with 2 crews in the race. That would have been the combination of Marcus Kane and James Meads there in second place. Then North S, Buckingham, Joseph Wilson and Jack Barrett sit third. Just 2 crews will go through from this repechage to the final of the open men's double scull. Now, while we do have a minute or two, Lizzie, I have to ask you about this, what we saw yesterday emerging from your country, so I think you're the expert here. There's been a suggestion that the phrase catching a crab is mean to the animals and should be abolished.
It should be replaced with liberating a lobster.
Exactly right. So if we do slip into liberating a lobster, you'll know why. But I don't quite understand that, because there's nothing liberating about a crab. It might be good for the animal rights activists to say that, but it doesn't actually fit the concept of what's happening when you get your blade stuck in the water.
Very true. It's more like the crab is trying to catch us, isn't it?
Exactly.
We need liberating.
So yes, so excuse us if we don't follow that advice that came through in the last couple of days. It was a letter written to British Rowing. I received it several times via message in the last day or so, so I believe it is authentic. Yes, apologies if we don't go for that, and we'll stick with catching a crab at this stage.
Yeah, it's been very interesting. I have Googled the name of the lady who wrote the letter, who is the vice president, the head of programs or something at the PETA. Can you remember what it stands for?
Something about ethical treatment of animals.
Yes, something like ethical treatment of animals. Yes, and yes, there's some very interesting phrases that she disagrees with and has taken people to task, or organisations to task on. Meanwhile, in the real world...
Yes, if any crabs are watching, we apologise for the offence, but we'll move on to the racing.
Our coastal rower, Marcus Della Mata, making great progress here with Nick Blackman as they make their way down this choppy course. looking stronger and stronger, but being challenged by Banks, the crew of Marcus Kane and James Meads, who have lane 7.
The other Banks crew, actually, speaking of coastal rowing, Heinrich Vensky and Kane Bullock participated in a coastal rowing come and try event that we held at Port Melbourne Beach on Port Phillip Bay. So calling it a beach is a degree of poetic license, but you've got the ships going past in the background. But a number of rowers came and tried the event, and I don't know, one of them, it was Heinrich or Kane, actually dislocated his shoulder in trying to disembark the vessel quickly, which is of course part of the beach sprint process to get out of the boat and run up the beach to the finish line. And he was a little too aggressive possibly, and managed to injure himself in the process.
Oh no!
And wasn't able to continue on with the rest of the day after that. But it does go to show you the passion and the agility that's required to be a successful coastal rower.
100%, yes. Yeah.
They sit back in about 4th or 5th place. I think that Banks combination on the far side. That's Banks on lane 2 on the far side of the course, but yes, Banks lane 7 are up in the top 2 here in a qualifying spot, just behind Marcus Delamata and Nick Blackman. Still it is Adelaide Uni and UTS Haberfield, the reasonably comfortable race leaders there. They've got out to beyond a length now, it would seem, on Banks in 2nd place, Marcus Kane and James Meads, and they do look to be the 2 who will qualify through to the final of the Open Men's Double Scull, which will come up in a couple of days' time on Friday's program.
So Marcus, who I'm trying to remember, I think he was in the double scull last year for the under-23s, and Nick Blackman, who is a very competent sculler, and I apologise, Nick, I'm just trying to remember whether you were in the team last year, and you were certainly in the men's quad on the under-23 team this year, so we wish you well with that. And Marcus, who'll be going off to whatever the next coastal rowing competition is, since he won a bronze medal at the Commonwealth Regatta.
The national championships coming up in, I think it's August again, in assuming it's Noosa Beach. I'm sure the venue actually is still to be confirmed, but I believe it'll be somewhere in southeast Queensland in any case, which is about the only place you want to be spending in the beach in the middle of winter.
Precise.
Certainly wouldn't want to race at Torquay then, I would suggest. So Adelaide Uni and UTS Haberfield comfortably still in front here. Banks in 2nd place. The rest of the field following down the course. North Esk would be in a very clear 3rd, and making a bit of a charge here towards the top 2, I think, Joseph Wilson of Buckingham and Jack Barrett of North Esk. So that's an interesting combination from both ends of Tasmania, north and south together here in the one boat. Joseph Wilson of Buckingham in Hobart, Jack Barrett of North Esk from Launceston, coached by Trevor Barrett, that combination. And they are moving up on the Banks combination in the race for 2nd and 3rd. Only 2 to go through. And Adelaide Uni, UTS Haberfield certainly continue to lead by a couple of lengths here on the Banks combination. Still there in 2nd place, but the Tasmanians certainly are closing on them in the finishing stages of the race. Well back then to probably Ballarat City, Riley McDougall and William Gilbert, who sit in 4th. But our top 3 have gone clear. Only 2 of them can go through, and certainly the combination on lane 6 from Adelaide Uni and UTS Haberfield are clear by 2 lengths, and Banks are holding on to 2nd place. So they'll be our 2 qualifiers from the sole repechage of the Open Men's Double Scull. Lane 6, Adelaide Uni, UTS get the win. Banks lane 7 finish 2nd. That's Kane and Meads, the combination for Banks. And then 3rd place will be North Esk after a pretty strong finish from then. Joseph Wilson and Jack Barrett just miss out on a qualifying spot. Ballarat City will finish in 4th place. 5th will be Banks over in lane 2, Vensky and Bullock. And 6th place then will be the Pine Rivers combination, Henry Borgia and Michael Hart.
So confirming the results of the repechage of the men's open double scull, a win for the Adelaide University and UTS Haberfield composite. In 2nd place, Banks, Kane and Meads. Those 2 crews progress through to the final. In 3rd, North Esk Buckingham composite. In 4th, Ballarat City. In 5th, Banks Rowing Club, Vensky and Bullock. And in 6th, Pine Rivers. Those crews are now eliminated from the event. Winning time, 7 minutes, 21.98. And now we move to the repechage, and again there's only one. In the under-23 lightweight men's double scull, again there are 2 to progress through to the final, and the remainder will be eliminated. In lane 4, Commercial, Harry Dixon and Mika Talbot. In lane 5, the University of WA, Ethan Bromley and Oliver Cliff. In lane 6, Adelaide University Boat Club, Kyle Miller and Hugo Worm. And in lane 7, Wendouree Ballarat, James Forsyth and Charlie McClure.
Thank you, Lizzie. Stuart John about to come in commentary as well, and Chris McCarthy, who's arrived with news as well of when the last dead heat was at the Nationals. In fact, it was the schoolboys, under-17 schoolboys 8 from 2019. We had a dead heat for 3rd place in that race. So the answer to the question, how long and since the last dead heat, was 4 years. And it was a dead heat for 3rd place. So in fact, 4 crews had to squash onto the podium for the medal presentation of that. The under-17 schoolboys 8 at the 2019 Nationals. The last time, of course, we raced at the Sydney International Regatta Centre. And welcome back, Stuart John.
Thanks, Richard. I seem to recall there was New South Wales champs, I think in 2021, there was a dead heat for 2nd or 3rd in the open men's single scull, because I think Luke Letcher was one of them. Caleb Ansell won it, and then there was a dead heat for 2nd or for 3rd. And apparently the year before, New South Wales champs, Cam Girdleston and
David Watts.
David Watts.
So it's actually rather more common than we were led to believe 10 or so minutes ago. We had a good story going there, but it's certainly not something you see every day, that's for sure. But
I mean, we've seen just about everything else now.
Exactly right, exactly right. So yeah, why stop at dead heats?
Exactly. So just waiting on the start here of the under-23 lightweight men's double sculls. So there have been a number of events consolidated, courtesy of scratching. So a couple of the open men's double sculls, I think the open women's double sculls as well. A lot of those events consolidated up, and then we're moving on to the under-17 Coxed quads. So some of the stars of the future going through in those heats for the under-17 men's and women's quad sculls. So I dare say a few of those will be some nice tight racing as well.
Yeah, they always are. The quad skull race, a huge afternoon coming up of the quads, and then the under-19 eights as well at the end of the day. We'll let the refreshed Chris McCarthy come in and describe some of those big boat races later on, fresh off the plane from Sydney. We see you flew right over the course on the way in here too, Chris. With a bumpy landing. It's windy here in the west.
Well, apparently you could. We'll ask him about this on air, but apparently you could see the wind as he was going over the.
You could see the white caps breaking on the course. Amazing.
And all of a sudden I don't feel so bad about my race earlier.
Exactly right. Yes. Now we are racing after all that in this repechage of the under-23 lightweight men's double scull. This, in fact, is the only race for about 20 minutes, Stuart, so you and I are going to have to fill some dead air to keep the hordes entertained, which I'll ask you about liberating a lobster shortly. That should fill a few minutes in, but...
look, there's always rugby league.
There is always... See, we had a football-free zone for a whole hour. Lizzie was loving it, and then gets up for 3 minutes, and here we go again.
It's a shame Ben Horner isn't here. We could have talked about the best finishes to a grand final.
Yes, indeed. He can show us the vision from when he was 1 year old and Newcastle won the premiership. I'm surprised he recalls it, but I guess if you're from Newcastle, that's what you know.
Well, I was at the 2015 grand final when North Queensland won. And, I'll tell you what, that was an experience. Having an experience out on the course now, though, we do have the repechage for the under-23 lightweight men's double sculls. It does look to be Adelaide University, University of WA, Wendouree Ballarat, all three pretty close to each other. So first and second go through to the final. At the moment, we've got 3 crews at the 500 metre mark that are within a couple of seconds of each other. So 1.5 seconds between first and third. Commercial a little bit off the pace. But again, Richard, we've seen this and spoke about it a little bit earlier on, and then straight afterwards we saw some amazing comebacks, 6, 7 seconds over that last 500 metres. Once the conditions start to ease up, and certainly in the last 250, if you've got the energy to go, you can can really put the foot down and get those split times down. And if somebody's used all their energy, it can really feel, and particularly when the wind gusts as well, it can really feel like you're rowing through honey.
Yes, yes, and just be powerless to stop the crews coming past with those late charges. We've seen a couple of those even again this afternoon. So there are other conditions that do make for some exciting finishes. And I've no doubt that'll be the case when these quad sculls and 4s and 8s race later on too. Of course, the faster boats have a bit less time to make up the gaps, but they don't tend to spread out as much when they're way down the course either.
Yeah, exactly right. Coming through at the moment now, up towards the 500 metres and up towards the 1,000 metres, and there's still not a lot in it. We can see the footage, so between Wendouree Ballarat, that's James Forsyth, Charlie McClure, coached by Paul Blanchfield, and Richard McClure. Adelaide University in lane 6, Kyle Miller and Hugo Worm, coached by Sam Morton. And then the University of Western Australia, Ethan Bromley and Oliver Cliff, coached by George White. So there are 3 at the moment, and perhaps that University of WA crew just dropping off the pace, although once they go past the camera, we'll get a bit of a better idea. Commercial, not entirely out of it either. Harry Dixon and Mika Talbot, coached by Stephen Pozzi and Dario Sportelli. So as the crew's coming up now towards that 1,000 metre mark, it does look to be Adelaide University, maybe just with their bow balls in front. And then the University of WA still not out of it at the 1,000 metre mark.
And Wendouree Ballarat there on the far side of the course, past the construction site. The dust not blowing quite as viciously off there as it has at times throughout this regatta, but just half a length between our top 2 crews. So Adelaide University and Wendouree Ballarat, it would be a full length then back to the University of Western Australia, and about a length and a half to the crew from Commercial. So the top 2 are the 2 higher ranked crews on the far side of the course. James Forsyth and Charlie McClure, a pretty famous name in Ballarat rowing at the moment. McClure with several siblings there racing together through the Ballarat Clarendon School and on into the Wendouree Ballarat Club now as well. They're coached by Paul Blanchfield and Richard McClure, just proving the point entirely.
Do they have a McClure boat, so a crew that goes out on a regular basis?
I'm not sure. I think there'd be enough of them to do it if they wanted to, and they'd go pretty fast, I would imagine, too, because it was Ellie McClure, of course, who rode in the Australian Junior 8s last year. Has won a couple of head of the schoolgirls at Ballarat Clarendon. So, yeah, it's a pretty strong family. I think if they wanted to put their own boat together, it would go quite well.
Well, you'd love to be able to see it at some of these regattas, wouldn't you? Like some of those big family ones. I know that I've one of 4 boys, so always trying to encourage my family to get into rowing, because at least one of them would be a fantastic lightweight rower.
Yes.
We'd all be about the height of Coxes, but you know, it's size of the fight and the dog.
Plenty of power in there, I'm sure, yes. Well, my brother made a couple of Australian under-23 teams at the very early stage of this century, so I'd be happy for him to row me around the course, possibly. I'm not sure what I'd contribute to it. Could possibly describe the race as we went down the course, but I'm not sure there'd be too much speed happening apart from that.
Well, it'd be an interesting concept, wouldn't it? Trying to go to, you know, you get the live feed with the race car drivers and that kind of thing.
That's
you know,
right.
How do you think you're going? How do you think you're going in the rowing race? You know,
We could mic you up for one of your sculling races, Stuart.
Maybe the pair.
Not ideal. Maybe the pair.
Through the 1,500 metres, it is Wendouree Ballarat leading Adelaide University, but not by much. It's less than a second between first and second. And then they have opened up a bit of a gap to the University of Western Australia, and then Commercial not too far behind them. So 8 seconds between second and third, and then another 4 seconds back to Commercial in fourth. So plenty of time to make up for the University of WA if they are to qualify for the final of the under-23 lightweight men's double sculls.
You mentioned family connection, Stuart. We believe there's a father and son rowing together for Tasmania in the interstate regatta on Sunday. So Dion Burt, we're still at the age of, I think, 40 or thereabouts, 42 it may have been, and his son Tom will be racing together for Tasmania. So an entire generation collected in the same interstate boat, which is, we believe that's the first time that's happened. Our investigators downstairs are on the job just to make sure, but certainly a pretty rare occurrence, a bit like the dead heat we just witnessed.
Yeah, absolutely. Where's Owen Nix when you need him?
Exactly.
Nixipedia.
I'm sure he's listening, so he should be able to send us through the answers to these things. We'll send Chris out to do some more research anyway. It looks like Wendouree Ballarat may well have moved up into the lead. In fact, they were narrowly in front at 1,500, so they've maintained that lead narrowly over Adelaide University here. And those two certainly going very comfortably through to the final of the under-23 lightweight men's double scull. James Forsyth and Charlie McClure lead this race by probably only half a length or so ahead of Kyle Miller and Hugo Worm for the Adelaide University Boat Club. And they'll certainly be our two crews moving through to the final on Friday. It will be of the under-23 lightweight men's double scull. There's 2 spots on offer, about a length between them. And Wendouree Ballarat will take the win on lane 7. Second place, Adelaide University. Third and fourth is pretty tight as well, with a big gap up between the top 2 and the bottom 2 in this race. Third will go the way of the University of Western Australia, Ethan Bromley and Oliver Cliff. And fourth, the commercial, is Harry Dixon and Micah Talbot.
So confirmation of our winning crew, that's Wendouree Ballarat, James Forsyth and Charlie McClure. They qualify for the final, along with Kyle Miller and Hugo Worm from Adelaide University in the under-23 lightweight men's double sculls.
Bit of a break in racing here for 15 minutes or so. Stuart and I won't talk rugby league for the duration. We may, but it won't be on mic is the good news. We will leave you in silence for about 15 minutes. We resume racing with race 284 at 3:30 this afternoon. That is heat 1 of the under-17 women's coxed quad scull.
I'm incredibly proud to be a female in the mining industry, led by a great role model for mining, for the Australian economy.
This is the best mining company to work for.
Everyone kind of takes you under their wing.
Being an older person in mining as well, I find that people can come to me for advice.
I did hairdressing for a year before coming to mining. It's the best thing I've ever done.
It offers a level of financial security that women outside of the industry don't necessarily have, and it's just awesome.
We would like women to be safer here than they are anywhere else.
Every day is exciting, there's something happening.
Just get out there. Try something new.
This is the engine room of our Australian economy, and we get to be a part of what keeps this country afloat and helps with infrastructure and all the other projects that makes Australia such a fantastic country to live in.
To join us in building an exceptional future, go to buildinganexceptionalfuture.com.au.